Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
I got this real moron thing I do. It's called thinking. Because I like to form my own opinions. I don't just roll over when I'm told to. Sad to say, most Americans just roll over on command. Not me. I have certain rules I live by. My first rule, I don't believe anything the government tells me. You're born absolutely free except for laws of nature. Those, if you drink, you get drunk. That's a law. If you get old, you die. That's a law too. If you sit on a tap, you will bleed from the ass. These are the only laws that you're born with, and any government just fucks you out of that type of freedom. If you really think you're free tonight, you hero, Officer Bob, you're a free man. You live in a free country. Well, you go upstairs, take your own beer you risk your life for. You sit on the hood of your monster truck in the parking lot. And see how long it is before actual veteran cops come by and pound you with truncheons on the kidneys. Why can't I do it? I'm just having a beer. I don't know. It's the law, though. You don't fuck around. Well, you can't drive down the street without a seatbelt on. Why not? I don't know. You put on a helmet. You can't sit in your own backyard naked. Your own filthy, dirty flesh that you're born with. That body you carry around. You can't sit up. Why not? I don't know. That's what it is. Mother! You're not free in the least. You need a diploma in this country to cut hair. You need to keep the train upright and lock position during takeoff. It's not just a hat. It's a felony. And the Euro Sky Company will freaking throw you off the plane. We're going, I have to have They say if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, then he's going to get a fishing license, but he doesn't have any money. So he's going to get a job. And he has to get into the Social Security system. And how are you going to audit the poor cocksucker? Because he's not going to up to your house. He'll take all your shit. He'll take your Black Velvet Elvis and your Batman toothbrush and your penis pump. With the burden of proof on you, because you forgot to carry it. Because you were just worried about eating a fucking fish. And you couldn't eat the fish because you needed a permit to go to the plane. And then the scales and the guts. This is not a sanitary environment. And ladies and gentlemen, you get sick of it all at the end of the day. Not even legal to kill yourself in this country. You weird Bible addict can't even handle his own drug. You will read the fuck out of half of it and wave a flag, celebrate. This whole country has been big. Vietnam, we pulled out. To do, is it? People, you're gonna stay in there and fuck them good, fuck them. Keep fucking them until they're all dead. That's the few children alive in Vietnam, and we haven't felt good about ourselves since. Well, George Bush had to say, this will not be another Vietnam. He actually used the words and said, this time we're going all the way. The American president using the sexual slang of a 13-year-old to describe his foreign policy. Well, just remember the names of the two men who were running that war, Dick Cheney and Colin Powell. Somebody got fucked in the ass. I was talking about some stuff earlier, but the other side of it is how sad is it that we can't trust our government? I'm not saying that this is a fake or a hoax, but there's at least a chance that this is fake. Like it's not, it doesn't sound crazy anymore to say that. I will trust in I will trust in the president, the police. There's at least England that we.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me fine?
Yeah, I hear you well.
Are
I
you
don't
sure?
see you.
Wait. 1 second.
Sure.
Sorry, technology. Hi.
Nice. It's all good. There's no worries. I have
Sorry
too
for
much time anyway.
All right, sounds good.
Yes. So are you
Did
good?
we start already? Or are you gonna cut
It
this?
depends. It depends. So maybe we have started.
Okay. Am I allowed to smoke during the podcast?
Oh, sure.
Is it fine?
Yeah, if you want to, sure. What
Alright,
do you
sounds good.
smoke?
Cigarettes, but it's like it's called IQS. It's like an electronical like cigarette, and I'm just putting.
Okay.
Because it's not smelly, and it's like much easier and much more comfortable.
Sure.
And I can smoke inside.
Good.
All right.
Good for you. Okay. So, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Depends. I'm a little bit scared though, but
Should be. You should be.
I should be. Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Is it your first podcast?
No, this is my number 7 or something. 6.
Oh, so you're so experienced. All right, I got it.
Very experienced. I've done this my whole life. It's like when I was 6, I started this podcast essentially. So talking to my TV. So.
Really? Okay.
No. I mean, kind of. Everything is training.
You were talking on the TV?
No, with my TV.
With your TV?
Like Naruto, don't do it. No. Why?
I see.
Don't do that. Don't go there.
I got it.
Oh.
Well, I done a couple of conferences and stuff. I don't really, I mean, I'm good at speaking in the public, but not in a friendly environment as this one, when it's my stuff involved, let's say. Our stuff.
Sure. I mean, your stuff will be involved, I think. So we will get there.
Your stuff will be involved too.
Oh,
Don't
really?
worry.
Oh shit. Oh no. I'm not prepared. I thought you're the one getting dragged through the hot coals.
I mean, well, a podcast, my understanding is that a podcast is just a discussion. If you would have asked me for an interview, I wouldn't have accepted.
No, it's gonna be mostly a podcast. Yes. So you have accepted the right request. Don't you mind?
Right.
Okay, so who are you? You're Gabriela from Romania. That's basically all I know about you. I think we've met like once or twice or something at Go tournaments. So
yes, I think so. I mean, I saw you a couple of times, but I wasn't that sociable back then. Yeah, I am almost 21 years old.
Old.
Oh, I'm so old. Yeah, no, I am quite young, so that's okay. I am playing Go, related to Go, probably. I'm playing Go since I was 9 years old. I was taught by my father. But I started to play seriously in 2015. after I participated in a congress that changed my view towards Go. Because back then, I used to participate only in like Romanian tournaments. And when I was involved in such an environment, I saw so many international Go players and from all over the world. I was like, oh my God, this is like a world. So it looks
Yeah.
nice. So I was motivated to start like studying, and I started studying back in like 2015.
Nice. Yeah, and basically how I got to know you was mostly through your blog. And I guess I would like to start off a conversation by quoting a little piece from your blog, if you don't mind, and then we can go deeper into that. Okay. Failing. What a scary thing to say and to admit. What is success without failure? How would we appreciate the good days without the bad ones? How would we know what motivation and hard work is if we wouldn't go at least once through unmotivation and a procrastination phase? They all work together, are against each other. And not only that, these things, as many others, wouldn't exist if the opposition wouldn't exist either. Go players, we want to win. We want to do our best. But how come we do that and be our worst enemies? The strongest opponents which we can conquer are us. What do you say about that? Do you still believe that? Is that still a what comes to your mind when you hear that? What yeah.
Well, I think this is from like my latest article, or one of my latest articles. So yeah, it is pretty recent. Go players, I think personally that Go players change their minds like really often. We often get to and not only Go players, I don't think only Go players, but we often get to like conclusions, and then we're like, oh no, we're wrong, because Go is always surprising us. That's the beauty of it. So yeah, I still think pretty much the same. I am open to like other ideas.
Sure.
I'm in a phase in which with Go, like my relationship with Go has changed so many times throughout these years. But probably going to Korea, studying in Korea made me realize some like really important things that I don't think I would have gotten if I would have been still here. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity that I received. Yeah, I still think that we are our worst enemies.
Yeah.
And the most simple example is that like if we ask 100 players, and if we ask about like losing a game that they were supposed to win and they were just defeating themselves, I think at least 90% of them had this at least once in their life.
Sure.
So I still believe that, I think.
Sure. I think actually, so what struck me about it, I suppose, is also how it relates to many things beyond Go, right? Like you talk about failing and success being connected in such a way that they belong to each other, right? That they're necessary, both of them. Do you think that you can sometimes in your whole life, like in your normal life beyond Go, that you can sometimes appreciate that or yeah, is that something that you sometimes can appreciate? For example, like appreciating a bad moment for the realization that it might give you better, good moments in the future.
That's pretty difficult to do every time something bad happens to you. Imagine that you lose like a loved one. Obviously, you wouldn't feel happy for it. You will be
Probably.
you will be very sad. But that will eventually make you stronger. Obviously, it's not always happening like that. Yeah, sometimes if something bad happens to me, it depends on also on the situation. But sometimes I think that I can realize that right away. I can be like, okay, this is something bad. My decision is I either get sad about it, or I either be happy because I gain experience, I evolve, and I get stronger. But yeah, sometimes it happens that like the situation is so, fucked up
Yeah.
that you cannot really be happy about it. And
It's definitely difficult.
it happened in Go too, that you know it's really like in the beginning when I started playing Go, I didn't know how to lose, like, and I still have problems with that because I don't think most of the time I give enough credit to my opponent that they actually won. I'm always putting pressure on myself. Oh, if I would have played that move, if I would have changed that situation or whatever, it would have been different. Imagine you've for sure had like 100 or 1000 situations in which you lost by half a point, and you
Sure.
just get all of the situations in your mind, like, oh, if I would have played that move, that was half a point, that was 1 point or something.
Yeah.
It's difficult to realize that. I think you should really have control to manage to handle this kind of situation, especially me that I'm so young still. I wouldn't say I'm a teenager anymore, unfortunately, but I am a young adult.
Yeah.
It's still hard to control these emotions. It's still hard to realize some things that they will make you stronger eventually, but at this point, yeah, it hurts. Yeah, it's difficult. I don't know. I never met a person that still can handle this, you know, this thing even at like 40, 50, 60 years old, and it's fine. I mean, grief is something important in our lives, because without a storm we wouldn't know how the sun looks like. So
Yes.
they, as I said in the article, they work together.
Yes. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So was that something that maybe so you alluded to your time in Korea, which of course I want to get to. So I guess there is a window there in this question, which is did it occur to you in Korea as well that basically all the struggle is worthwhile, um, and to remember during times that might be tough in when you're in a different country and you have to study a lot and maybe you don't have success or you're losing a lot of games or whatever, like in this week, right, or whatever happens, to remember that there's like a bigger picture in which you are trying to strive for that star in front of you, and to go that extra mile and stuff like that. Like, is that something that you try to remember? How
I
did it
think
go?
the first weeks in Korea were rough, like really rough, because I didn't study Go. Like before going to Korea, I didn't study Go. I studied Go seriously, but my opinion is that I got to one done like really easy, just playing tournaments, playing some KGS, playing some Pandanet, something like that, solving some Tsumego, but it wasn't really hard to get to one done.
Hmm.
When I went to Korea, it was also like after a few months of struggle because I had to finish school earlier, take my matura exam earlier,
Yeah.
like get used to the whole visa process, and it was a super super struggle.
Mm.
I arrived there and I was like, okay, now I'm here. I just have one thing to do. I just need to study Go. I have these people around me, so it's all good. I'm all set up. And it didn't work as planned, obviously, because how Koreans, teach is much more different than in Europe. For
Mhm.
example, I used to have two colleagues, two really young kids, Eunjin and uh, not Eunjin, Youngjin and Yunso. Yeah, there were
Mhm.
two little kids that were coming to Biba. Biba is, by the way, the school that I studied in. They were coming like a few times a week, and they were double digits Q. And they started from the beginning, like after learning the rules, they started solving Tsumego, which was like, what? Like you should play games until you're one done, and then only after study Tsumego. You know how Europeans see it. Europeans almost never study like solve Tsumego. And I started solving Tsumego that were supposed to be my level or even lower my level. And I remember the first 3 weeks I was staying overtime in Biba because I wasn't able to solve those Tsumego that my colleagues that were double digit were solving like in 5 seconds. And I was like, what is going on? Am I one done? Am I double digit? Here comes the importance of a sensei, a teacher,
Senpai.
a senpai. Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah, I think that it is important to have someone. It's not you shouldn't always handle these things by yourself,
Mm.
especially if you are somewhere like for me it was the unknown. I realized that I'm going in Korea only in the plane. Like then I was like, wait, what am I doing? Like what is going on? This is crazy. Because I always wanted to go to Asia and there were all these kind of programs like SIGO and blah blah, and I never even thought that I will have a chance to go since I am just, the reality is that I'm just one dan. And I mean, I was just one dan and kind of old for Asia to, go there and study as a Yunguseng or as an Insei.
Yeah.
So I never ever imagined that I will go there and be there and among these Korean kiddos that are like this and they just beat you like crazy. And I never thought, about it because I know so many people that wanted this their whole life and they weren't able, as my father, for example. He started like playing Go in like the 70s and he's like 4Q or 5Q. He never even, dreamed about it. But I know many people, even kids that, don't have a chance to go there and they're much more talented than me. They were and they are and stuff. So it was a dream come true. And there was a lot of pressure that I put on myself, first of all. Because I was like, I need to come back and have good results and be strong and I don't know, get strong as the 5 dan or something. I was just imagining these scenarios. And then I was meeting with this Korean pros from Korea that, were saying that, oh, do you want to become a professional? And I was like, what? How can I become a professional? I'm like 18. It's impossible. It's too late. And Stephanie was like, no, it's never too late. You can go to Japan and blah, blah. And this guy did it and you can do it. And I was like, no, like, I don't want to become a professional. So to get back to the idea, when you are in this kind of a situation in like on the other side of the world, first of all, and you're just doing one thing and you're supposed to, I mean, you put pressure on yourself that you should get good at it or be good at it. I think you should ask for help. There should be somebody there to support you and guide you. And for me, this person was Blackie, Kim Sung-jung. And he is an incredibly wise 9 dan professional. Like I learned so many things from him.
Nice.
It's fine. It's fine to fail. It's fine to be bad. You're gonna cry. You're gonna be frustrated. It's gonna be tough. But then at some point, there is light at the end of the tunnel. So after 3 weeks of struggling, or 4 weeks of struggling, in which I told you there were these kids that were 20Q that were able to solve some Sumego, and there were people around me that were looking like, what the heck, like, come on, look at this. And they was like, no, it's impossible. And after 4 weeks of just doing that and doing that and doing that, I was getting stronger. The Sumego, was on a higher level. I was solving them like much faster. And it's just, studying is everything. Like, it takes time also. You should be patient, but never complain that you're weak if you don't study. Because I do this myself too. And I know people that do that I don't play well, my style is not good, I couldn't read that situation. It's because you don't study. Like, it's because you don't do it most of the time. Okay, of course it happens that like you have some different scenarios, but most of the time it's because you don't study enough. And if you don't study enough, you don't have the right to say that, oh, I am weak, I'm so sorry that I'm weak. What happens? Like, oh, the universe doesn't, no, it's you don't study, you don't work on it. So yeah, sorry.
I think it's fine. Like, not everyone needs to study. Like, it's certainly not for everyone. Everyone needs to go that path of like,
yeah, not everyone needs to study, but I'm just like, if you at this point, I just state out loud that I started playing Go because I love Go. And I go to tournaments. I mean, I will go at some point, hopefully. I will go to tournaments and I will enjoy. I will not look forward to the results or to gore or to like rating and so on, because it's not good. Like, because you lose like the sense of it, like the nature of Go. So I think that it's really important to ask yourself a question. When you get older, maybe like ask yourself a question. Okay, what am I going to do? Do I want to get strong? Do I have a goal? Or I'm just complaining all the time that I'm weak and that I'm not playing good and I don't study. If you are playing for fun, then don't blame yourself. I mean, blame yourself, but don't be so harsh on yourself. If you want to set up a goal, you're studying and you're not doing good, let's say, okay, maybe you have the right to
I think there's a fine line between accepting yourself and beating yourself up too much, and that fine line is something that people should be looking forward to. Like, the line where you are accepting yourself for where you are at the moment, but you're also pushing yourself forward. Like, you see your flaws, you see the characteristics that you might improve upon, but at the same time you're fine. Like, you're fine where you are. Like, and I think often people are too far on the one hand or too far on the other, so they're either too accepting of themselves and thereby not pushing forward at all, or they're also not pushing forward at all because they're pushing too hard, and so the goals they set on themselves and the ideal that is in eyesight of them is too far, and so they can never reach it, so they don't even try. And so I think if you are in that sweet middle spot and you're like, okay, I'm a fucked up person, I have all these flaws, I'm stupid, I'm lazy, I'm procrastinating 5 hours a day, sometimes 12, sometimes 24, sometimes 30, and anyway, I'm like, I'm funny sometimes. I don't know, maybe I'm like half good at writing something, or I'm like not a bad engineer, or I at least don't destroy everything I touch when I bake a cake, like there's something there, something that might be a genuine task that you could like look up to and be like, okay, I can handle this, not perfectly, but I don't need to. So, and maybe also Go players sometimes need to remind themselves of that.
Maybe. I mean, I'm telling you what like eventually worked for me. If there's something else that like I am open to it, it's always changing. So maybe this will not work anymore tomorrow. I'm not sure. It's always changing. But it worked for me to like, set up some goals or non-goals and to realize what am I doing? For what am I doing it? Because my whole life, personally, I did so many things. Like I sang and I did acting and I organized stuff and did writing and all these different activities.
Yeah.
And I was never the best at one. I was, let's say, decent at like every of them. And that's also maybe one of the reasons why I'm still not so strong at Go, because it happened that I was like really into Go when I was 15, and then it was like 3 years go 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 go, and then I was like, okay, I'm a teenager, so I may be going to parties, and I may be, I don't know, have a boyfriend or something like that, and it wasn't a priority, and there was always like these things changing, and I don't like this. I like to have hobbies that I don't need to. I mean, maybe I need to. Okay, now I'm wondering if I'm correct. Like if it's correct what I'm saying.
Doesn't need to be correct. You can say it and then you can say, okay, that was wrong.
No, no, no.
Look
I,
at
I
that.
think I'm
That
stupid.
was incorrect.
Yeah. I'm always asking myself questions. Like
Yeah, that's fine.
that's the thing that is like probably my followers were always telling me this, that they love that I'm never saying like a statement. I'm always saying, oh, is it actually like that?
Yeah, I like
I'm
that.
always asking questions.
That's
Because
maybe the main reason why I have you on. So you can do that here too.
yeah, well, the conclusion regarding this is that like it's fine to be however you want to be. Like it's good to accept some things and be fine with procrastinating, be fine with not being a professional Go player, not being the best. It's also fine that you are harsh on yourself and you want to improve, and it works for you, this kind of like rough discipline. Everything works. Like we are all so different, so
Yeah, that's for sure. Like, and that's one of the most beautiful things I think, like, that people are so different. And like, for example, when I teach Go, usually I really look at the personality of the person as like the first thing I'm looking forward to. So I look at their game and like I ask them why they play certain moves. And then after one game with almost anyone, I can tell them their personality and the type of mistakes they seem to be making in Go, and probably also in life, because it's often pretty similar. Sometimes it's not, and that's also beautiful, but often it is. Like, for example, people who are very timid are usually also quite timid in life. And so these are often the type of people who might have gone for a university career that they didn't think about for a long time and that they didn't really like look into deeply, because they in Go, for example, these are the type of people who play jose keys, and they like to keep the game in a certain way because they like to follow the rules more or less. They like to follow what's been told to them, because they're afraid to get out of that, and they're afraid of social judgment if they go too far off the beaten path. And so similarly in their life, they go with a university career even though they don't even know what the hell they're doing, and they don't know what they want to do really, and stuff like that. And so it's often very interesting for me to see these parallels. And I mean, it's even better when it's not a parallel, because that's really enticing to me. And of course I like to be wrong. So like whenever basically, I have this like idea of like, oh, usually it's like this or whatever, and then there's a person who's like completely not fitting the mold, right? And I'm like telling him like, oh, you're very you're very aggressive. Do you sometimes have a problem with going after decisions too fast, or I don't know, whatever I'm saying, right? Whatever crap I'm saying, whatever half serious thing I'm saying. And he's like, nah, that's not happening at all. I'm doing this kind of stuff. And then I'm like, oh, okay. I'm stupid. I don't know. I'm just saying words. So, but it's really fun, you know, it's really fun to look into the personality, even if it's just the personality inside the Go game. Like, for example, I'm really aggressive inside the Go game. And so independent of my whole personality, it's really important for me to know that, because then I can try to be less aggressive. Like, if I know most of my mistakes will be to go too far, to cut too early and too quickly, to start off 10 fights when I should have really defended my group, right? Like, when I know this is the type of mistake I'm usually doing, which I'm aware of, then I can try to do that less, right? And I can try to counterbalance my personality. And I think in life it's similar, where actually when you know the type of flaws you're probably gonna make, maybe you, like, I don't know, you fall in love really quickly, and so it's maybe important to double check every time you get into a new relationship, like, huh, I know him for 2 days. Is this too fast? You know, like, oh, maybe is this again the type of mistake I'm like seeing myself fall, falling into, like, every 2 weeks? Oh yeah, oh yeah, it's it probably is, you know. So how how would you characterize maybe your own relationship or experience with that type of framing in Go or in life?
Like, do you mean what are my good and bad traits in real life and in Go as well?
Yeah, for example. But you can go wherever you like. it's your podcast
Mhm.
as much as mine. So
Ah, come on. Well, mm, I don't know. I usually, this kind of like I am working in a company in which I am pretty much on like online job interviews, and they're this typical stupid, in my opinion, type of questions. How do you see yourself in 5 years, in 10 years? So describe yourself in 3 words or something.
yeah.
Come on, like I hate describing myself, but I'm gonna do my best. I don't know. It's it is part of like these kind of questions. I think they're part of like the questionnaire of Marcel Proust. These kind
Mhm.
of questions. So for me, it's always changing. I'm gonna assume 24 hours my answers that I'm like this, but I don't want to hear from tomorrow on that you said this in the podcast and now you're different. For me, it's always changing. So
That's good.
yeah. So I would say that I am on the Go board. I kind of like when I started playing with my dad. My dad was kind of aggressive, like an aggressive Go player, and he was always going on Sansa, and this was his guilty pleasure on the board, like to have all the corners. And I was like, this is interesting. And for a while I played really aggressive, and I used to have a nickname in Sibiu, in my hometown, Gabica Killerica, like because I was always, looking forward to kill something, and there wasn't like a game, like I wasn't feeling satisfied if something wasn't, dying, or I don't know. And then I got into a phase in which I started studying with a really nice Go player from Sibiu, and he is Wandan, and he taught me a lot. And he is a defensive Go player, and I used to, like, after 1 year of studying with him, it was just like a mirror. I was playing the same as he was playing. If you would have put two games, one was mine, one was him, it was, at least the Fuseki was exactly the same. So
That's
yeah, I
good.
used to go into this kind of defensive phase, and now I think I'm not scared anymore to get into fights, because I solved so much Sumego that I think I can handle it. And like on my level, I can handle fighting, and I shouldn't be worried with that. So I am always trying to find a balance. Of course, it's hard to find a balance, and an equilibrium, but I'm doing my best. And in life, I am usually like a calm person. I'm not really getting angry easily. I am naive, let's say. But it's not about the age, because when I was younger, I thought, okay, I'm naive because it's just I'm young and I'm a teenager, and whenever I meet a person, I think, they're the best people, and they're not there's no like bad people in this life, and we all want the good for each other and blah blah. Of course, I got into experiences and I realized that it's not really like that, but I'm still the first impact that like I'm meeting a person, I'm like, oh, it's the greatest person I've ever met. Like it's the best. Like I have so many things to learn from this person. So I'm
But
pretty
that's a
naive.
good attitude. I like that.
Yeah, but it's I tend to get disappointed. Like if I don't I have high expectations from people,
Hmm.
and I try to not have. I try to be neutral, but it's not always working. And usually if I realize that that person is not what I expected like good, or I don't know,
Yeah.
kind or something, because for me kindness is one of the most important things in this life. I am trying to be kind and give back as much as possible. It's because I'm selfish. It's selfishness. Like it's an ego that I am helping people. I am helping people, but because that makes me happy. And I am not afraid to say that, because naturally we are all selfish. And
Maybe.
it took me so much time to, you know, confront this thought. I was like, oh my God, no, 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 this is selfish. And then I realized I'm never going to change that. That is just humankind. So I cannot be different. There's some things that cannot, change somehow. So I'm like, okay, if I'm anyway selfish,
Maybe.
and I'm helping and giving back, at least it's good for other people as well.
Sure.
So for me, kindness is one of the most important things in life. So if I see that the person seemed kind on the first sight and then it's not kind, I'm like, I get really disappointed.
Sure.
So naive, really naive, clumsy, and not organized, and not messy. Like I am cleaning me and my stuff and blah blah, but if you see my desk or something, it's always a chaos everywhere, and that's the mirror. Like it's the same in my mind.
Yeah.
And I
Same.
was like, I was like always avoiding to-do lists,
Hmm.
you know but now since I'm working in a company, I need to. And it took me so much time to realize, okay, I need a to-do list. I don't have enough space, or maybe I do have, but I feel in my mind with like some stupid things sometimes, and I miss the important things. And I was like, oh come on, like to-do list is for people that are not well organized or something. And I was always saying that I'm so organized, and now I finally started to have some to-do lists, write everything on the paper, and it made my life so much easier. Guys, whoever is going to watch this, please write to-do list. It's like the best thing ever. And at the end of the day, if you see everything checked, you're feeling so satisfied, and
Yeah.
then you would go to sleep with a clear mind, because then you will not need to think about what you're going to do the next day. You just have everything on the paper, and then the next day when you wake up, you can just work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think I think what's really important with the to-do list, which is something that Jordan Peterson also talks about, it's that you should make the day you want. Like a to-do list shouldn't be this prophecy from the dictator that tells you to live the life like he wants you to, and it's like a shitty dictator that you hate, and so like who the fuck wants to do what's on that list? No, it should be a list that is made by a good friend who cares about you, who thinks you deserve to have a good day, and that's the day that is on that list, right? And so I think what a lot of people do is they make lists that are so harsh that of course they hate them. Like, if you put on that list for tomorrow everything you need to do next year, it's going to be a shitty day. But if you put on that list like 3 things, like one of them is like clean 5 dishes, and another is like read 2 pages, and another is like, I don't know, sing a song, like whatever, right? And then you put a tick on all of them, right? You feel great. And then of course, once you manage to do your lists easily, you can start growing the list. But you shouldn't start with a list that you cannot manage. And I think that's what many people do. So start with a very easy list. Start with a list that you are 99.9% sure you're gonna manage. And then go from there. I think that's a very good and
Yeah,
helpful.
I completely agree with you on this, that mm, we are living in this society in which procrastination, even on like a 30 minutes level, is something that is unacceptable. And you're always, because I know so many people that have these lists like every hour, do to-do list on every hour and every 30 minutes and stuff. That's, I think, too much. And I think uh you gain so much bad energy if you maybe didn't manage to think them, like check them all at the end of the day. You're like, oh my god, I'm so wrong, I'm a failure, I didn't manage, I'm a loser. I know, like
It's
it's
fine.
we should be kind to other people, but we should be also kind to ourselves. That
Yeah.
it's I think it's really important to accept the idea that there is a bad day, there is even a good day, there is maybe a day in which you want to do nothing, and that is fine. There is a day in which you want to do whatever you want to do. Like we are like all these people, not all these people, but some people, okay, maybe not some people, people in I don't know what percentage,
Yeah. Some
uh
percentage.
some percentage, uh they say that they don't care about what other people say. And I used to say that too, that I don't care about what other people say, and that I don't judge people and I don't judge myself. And then I got to a point in which I realized that I am unconsciously judging, like, I'm not talking about the appearance or something, that it's like I'm not doing that. But you know we have these standards of, let's say, I don't know, intelligence, beauty, and so on. And in order to set them, you automatically compare yourself with other people. Because for me, probably beauty for me is different than how you see beauty. I look
No,
at
I think
one
it's
girl.
completely the same.
Really? Oh, come
No,
on,
I'm
go
kidding.
on, go
I'm
ahead.
kidding. You go on. You go on.
You just unconsciously compare, and yeah, that is wrong, but it just happens. Maybe with a lot of like hard work, you may be managing to control that. And wait, where was I? Like, what were you saying at first? Because I forgot my thought. I lost my thought.
I mean, you wanted to go somewhere along the lines of how we
Of like
judge
procrastination and
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
procrastinate, and
If I'm
we're
looking
not very nice to ourselves. And
if I'm looking at you and I see you never waste time and you never rest and you're just 24/7. For example, I have can I give you an example? Because
sure,
we probably both know this person and many people know this person. um there
everyone
is
knows this person.
everyone knows this person. It is Sinan Diepov. That is one of my dear friends
Mm.
that I now we don't talk that much anymore, but we used to talk a lot, and he's still my friend. uh he was insane, like especially with Go. We used to talk like every day, and whenever I was calling him, even if it was night, day, morning, evening, I don't know, it's in school, in university, he was always with some Tsumego book. He was always doing 10 things at the same time, studying with Lila, playing a game, studying for university, working, trading. And I was like, how do you manage? And it was so easy for him. Like, he was handling these things so well, and I was like, what is wrong with me? Am I stupid? I'm not even able sometimes to concentrate on one thing, and he's doing 10 things at the same time, and he does them well. I was comparing myself with him, and I was always so down whenever I was talking with him, because he was doing so many things, and he was always, sending me Go materials to study, for example, and books to read, and I never had time to do that. And he was telling me, oh, come on, you can do it. And I was like, no, I cannot, because you have your own rhythm. Like you're doing everything fast, and I am not that. And I used to blame myself for this because I wasn't like that. And I'm sure people at least once had this in their life, that you look at one person, you realize they're like, I don't know, much faster, much more intelligent, much more efficient, blah blah blah, and you're like, until you realize that you actually appreciate them and you can learn things from them, there is this little demon that is saying, oh, you see, he's different, he's much better, you should be like them, but you should be yourself.
I think there's a great story to illustrate what you're saying. It's a story from a guy, let's call him Thomas, okay? So Thomas goes to his psychotherapist and tells him, like, you know what, I'm like, I like started this new company and it's going all right. And I have this other group of companies that are helping children with their education and everything. And it's also going great. And then the psychotherapist is like, why are you like, you don't sound happy? Like, that sounds great, no? And he's like, yeah, I'm now making like 100,000 a year and it's nice. And I don't know, like everyone's so nice around me. But it's like I have this roommate and he's like 10 times more productive and has like 10 companies and they're like changing the world. And I don't know, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, I'm really sad. And then the psychotherapist asks him, like, what's the name of your roommate? And he's like, oh, he's called Elon Musk. And so it's like,
Wow.
and it's a true story, by the way. Like, I forgot the name of the guy. He's a funny guy, actually, and he was literally very depressed while he was amazingly successful, but he wasn't as successful as his roommate, right? But when your roommate is Elon Musk, maybe find a different comparison, right? And so I think from that, it's very important to compare yourself to yourself, because you're the person you can compare yourself with most fairly as well, right? Like, everyone else has a different head start. They have different strengths and weaknesses. They have a different genetical makeup and like everything, right? Like, everything is different. But there is one person that is exactly the same as you, and you can compare yourself to, and that is yourself. And just look at yourself yesterday and see, did I improve my life by just like just by 1% today, right? And if that's enough, then you can maybe even manage, right? But if your ideal every time is like the most productive person in the world, then every day is shit. Like, then there's no day that is good enough to fulfill that desire. Yeah, so I really like the insight of your story with Sinan there as well. Maybe you're not the same person, and so it's good to let go. It's good to let go.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I think it is really important to, as you said, to compare yourself with yourself, like every day, because every day, like, I'm looking myself like from yesterday, and I realize that I'm different. Maybe, as you said, 1%, like 1% different, but I'm still different. And multiply that by 365 4
Yeah,
5
yeah,
days a
yeah,
year,
something like that.
multiply that by a year, 5 years, 10 years, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
You're
So
10
yeah,
persons and 10 different ones, all at the same time. It's crazy.
indeed. Yeah. But what are your, like, wait, I said, like, what did I say? I said that I'm innocent, and we started about
Yes,
this
and
thing.
naive. You're
And naive, not innocent, sorry, naive. Uh,
Yes.
yeah.
Maybe you're also innocent. I don't know.
Mm, people tell me I am, but
I mean, you said that you're nice, and so nice
no,
could
I didn't
potential.
say no. I didn't say that I'm nice. I just say that
Okay.
I'm trying to be kind. Like
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I don't know if I manage, but I
Okay.
am
It's a
trying at
okay.
least.
You said that it's important for you to be kind. So
It's
I guess
important.
that's somewhat different. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it's an
and
okay distinction. Though yeah, I actually need to attack one thing of that. Um and see how well it sticks. So you basically said that people when they are kind or nice, actually we're all selfish. So isn't that conveniently defending your own flaw by projecting it on everyone else, you saying that? Or is that not at least a possibility? Let's say it that way.
wait, I'm not sure if I understood the question properly. Do you think that's like
That you like you see it in yourself, that your kindness comes from a selfish place, and then you just conveniently say, oh yeah, that must be everyone. Like if I'm like that, everyone is like that, of
no,
course.
no, no, no. Okay, maybe I exaggerated a little bit. But even like philosophers do say that. I'm not saying that philosophers
Sure,
are like everything.
they're god.
Um, it's just thank God that they're saying that. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's too much to say that everyone is, but I just think that there's some things. Of course, we are so different. Like all of us, we're so different. But there's some things in our base that are somehow not really unchangeable, but let's say similar.
Mhm.
Maybe, yeah, maybe I'm saying like that everyone is like that just to make make myself feel better. I'm not sure. I hope that not everyone is like that though, because it's a struggle to admit, that you are selfish, and you know even if you help people, it's still you're doing it. It makes you happy. It's fulfilling in a way. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's not fair to project that on everyone. It's not fair.
That would be my claim for sure. I mean, maybe you're right, but I think these things are
Maybe I'm
definitely
wrong. Who knows? I
complicated.
I
Yeah,
I,
exactly. Maybe
I
you're
hope
wrong.
that I'm wrong because I don't like to be right in general. I don't know when I'm
Okay,
right.
yeah,
Like
that's a fair point. I thought you don't want to be. So the first time you said that you would like to be wrong, it sounded like because you think it would be a better world. Um, if you mean that, then actually I think I also disagree, because I think if you're right, then you're right, and that's also fine. Like I think that's not a bad world or a good world. It's just it's interesting to know, like if it's correct that everyone is like that, that in the end all kindness comes from a selfish place. That's an interesting thought, and I guess from some philosophic um ideology, one can just infer that, right? Like one can say like, oh yeah, all action is based on motivation, and motivation comes from you, and so because you make up the own plane of motivation for your actions, of course that motivation is inherently selfish because it's presupposed on your own moral judgments, and therefore all action is selfish, and thereby also kindness is selfish. So it's easy to make that philosophical case, and I'm sure there are some philosophers, but um that don't make it right. I don't make it right.
no, usually when I'm like right, sometimes it happens, but like sometimes I don't
Yeah, sure.
know. Like when it comes about, for example, for some certain information, like when
Mhm.
was the First World War, for example, and
Yeah.
there's a right answer and a bad answer.
More or less,
So
at least according to historians.
Yeah, history
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
actually,
Yeah, I
yeah.
understand what you mean. I don't want to be, I don't want to be too semantic.
But usually if I'm like right, let's say, I don't know what to do, like with that information that, okay, I'm right. So what does it mean that I'm right? Like, it means that my information, my thing, my it's right. It's just, that's it. It's the end. Like,
It's yeah.
it shouldn't be the end. It's never the end. And usually when I'm not right, I feel much more comfortable because I love thinking. I think a lot. I'm an overthinker, and that's good and bad sometimes too. Um, so there are all these thoughts, running through my mind, just like some gears, rotating.
Yeah.
And usually when I'm like right, it sounds so bad. Usually when I'm
It's
like,
fine. It's fine.
no, when I know some certain things and some people don't, that gear doesn't rotate anymore, and it's the end.
Mm.
And an end is, you know,
Painful.
yeah, painful. Exactly. It's like, oh, it's the end. Even if it's like a really small end, it's not like your
Yeah.
life ended, but it's just, you know,
Yeah,
okay, that's it.
we like to go on adventures, right?
Hmm.
Like the fun is in the journey. And so when we arrive, we're upset. We're like, what the fuck? What should I do now? Like that's why actually many people when they graduate are very unhappy. Like they're in the process, they're in university, and so they're like all the time like, oh, I really want to finish and I'm trying everything to get there, right? And it's gonna be so great, it's gonna be so awesome once I get there. And then they get there and they're like, what the fuck? Like this wasn't what I expected. Like I'm so sad. Like I'm so unfulfilled. I'm so void. Like there's nothing. Like what should I do now? Like shit. Did my life just end? And in a certain way, that's the case. Like your life just ended. Like the way you lived ended. And
I mean,
you
yeah,
need to
but
find a new. Hmm? You
yeah,
can go.
sorry to interrupt.
Ah, that's fine.
Like the example like that you gave with like the graduation and stuff, it's actually the end of a chapter, like not the end of the whole book. No.
Yes.
So, but of course it's still painful. And I wanted to ask you a question regarding
Sure.
this kind of situations. Do you think this happens because we don't enjoy uh, enough the path, and we focus too much on the goal, and then there's this little success that, okay, I graduated, it's a success, and what should I do now? It's like, oh, you're happy 5 minutes, 10 minutes, one day, 1 week, 1 month, and then you realize, okay, it ended. Do you think it's because people don't focus too much on the goal, on becoming successful?
Yeah, I think it's partly that. I think it's catalyzed by that. Like it's made worse by that. I think it's to some degree just biological. Like to some degree, I think it's just the way it should be almost, because we should be motivated to move forward, like to improve and everything. And so every time we do get to a plateau, that should make us be like, okay, where's the next mountain to climb, like that should happen. I think, like, I think to some degree we have too little of like happiness, and that is probably a function of us looking for the final destination too much. Like I think there's some reason we do it, and a good one as at that, but we do it too much. Like many people, there's also one essay you wrote that I really enjoyed, in which you were talking basically about like not being in the present moment, right? Maybe you remember, I don't know, but basically how the present is quite elusive sometimes, and the thing that is making it really um, making you feel sad or unfortunate is not that you're doing something wrong or anything, but just simply that you feel like you're not in the present moment. That's at least how I understood you.
Yeah, I think it is like, from the article that I wrote in Korea at some point, which was called "Lost in Time," if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't really remember like everything that I said back
Sure.
then, and probably I don't agree anymore like with some things
Fine.
because it was the present. So now the present is different.
Yes.
But I often have this feeling, even at this point, and sometimes I don't even realize it, that I focus too much on either the, like, I had some, let's say, bad life. Like there were some problems with me, my family, my health. That's I had some struggles, and
Hmm.
because of that, of course, there's some traumas, and they keep, following me. And because I did, therapy and all that, I really spent a lot of time talking about it, thinking about it.
That's good.
Um, but sometimes I either get lost in the future or in the past. In the past, because I have these things that I cannot, not get rid of, but manage to just live my life with, not thinking about them every day, for example.
Yeah.
But there's also this part of me that I'm struggling between uh, the traumas and the expectations that I have from myself.
Yeah.
Expectations for me means uh, more or less like the future. My plans, my goals, my whatever I want to do, family, career, and so on. And there is this thing that I'm still learning, and I will be learning this my whole life, probably, that I need to be more like carpe diem. And I am doing good. I want to tell you something. I don't usually talk about my life in public. I prefer to talk with like really close friends or my family.
Sure.
But for a while now, I experienced happiness for a long time already. And there's this, again, little demon that is asking me, oh, there's something. There's something coming. Like it cannot be that good, right?
Yeah,
It's
the flood is always coming, huh?
yeah, it's always this, and I had a discussion with a psychologist regarding this, that when we are happy, let's say we are just very happy, right, successful, whatever, for a long time, we have this instinct that something bad is going to come, because back in the day, like 1,000 years ago, Homo sapiens, whatever, we were always prepared, for bad stuff to happen. They were always prepared. We were always prepared. Like they were always aware that they need to hunt. There's like some dangerous things going on. They
The
should be
snakes are
always,
always lurking.
yeah, they should always focus on everything around. And because of that, maybe that's why we have this instinct that there should be coming there's something coming, something bad. I'm experiencing happiness already for a while now, since January, I think. And I am really, wow, like I never felt this. I was diagnosed with a chronic depression for like since I was 15.
Hmm.
And I never thought that this is like genuinely going to happen to me. I thought that it's always going to be, bad. And I was
Yeah.
always gaining a short-term happiness, because that's how my, mind was working back then, because I wasn't able to be happy with myself, to be happy myself in a room, right? Happy, just happy. I was always gaining this kind of good energy from people, short term, like half an hour or something, but just to make me survive somehow. There
Yeah.
were always these suicidal thoughts, like, but really suicidal thoughts,
Hmm.
because of the depression. And somehow last year, there was a tough year for everyone, I think. But it was, for me, like, it was a year of like changes, and I was able to move by myself finally. And I started working, so I was basically an adult, like, that was paying taxes and stuff. And because I wasn't able to go out, I had to stay myself on the couch and talk with myself, and I avoided that conversation
Hmm.
for 5 years. And I had time plenty of time, because there was always, there was always this, I don't have time now. I don't have time. I'm too busy. Like, I'm just, I have to be there for that person. I need to do some sort of things. I need to travel. I need to blah, blah. And
I need to
back,
prepare for Korea. Now I'm back from Korea. I need to catch up.
yeah, exactly. And then there was nothing going on. I was always like, making myself busy, but there was always this thing that, oh my God, I need to have that conversation.
Yes.
And it was the most difficult conversation, talking with yourself, figuring out some stuff, thinking about it, and not only 2 hours,
Yeah.
months in a row. That's why I avoided so much that moment, and that's why it took so long, because you avoid, and it gets worse. And it's just like, when you don't talk with a friend for a long time, it's your best friend, right? You didn't talk for a week, and then you're thinking, oh, if I'm gonna call this person now, he's gonna tell me, oh, why didn't you call me? And then you're avoiding, and the time lapse, it's like it's more and more, and you're
Oh
just
shit, I
avoiding.
haven't called him in 2 months. Like now I can't call him.
Yeah, but then he's gonna tell me, oh, what happened, and you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So there was always this thing in my head, and I managed to have that conversation and figure
Great.
out some stuff, and I am so happy. And believe me, I never ever thought that it would have happened, because even I went to plenty of psychologists and psychiatrists, and I took antidepressants, and I did my best. Like, I never kind of gave up. There were these crucial moments in which I was like, okay, now it's the end. Now I did my best. I don't know what I'm going to do. And even psychologists at some point told me, okay, you're in a chronic depression, because I was just changing them. I was such a bad human being back then, because I wasn't even giving a chance to them. They were there to help me. They were there to help me manage myself, to cure myself, if that makes sense, because they are there trying to make you cure yourself, because I think that can be the one of the ways.
Yeah.
And I was never giving them a chance to do that, and I was just doing that because I was not forced to do that, but to just do that, just like that. And then there was this conversation that helped me a lot, and now I'm really happy. And I have this really strong weakness when it comes about people that have like this disorders, let's say.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of people that have depression and anxiety, and not only BPD or the Peter Pan syndrome, ADHD, whatever, all this.
Many.
It is fine. I mean, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Believe me, I'm talking with the people right now that at least experience this.
Yeah.
Believe me, I know you don't believe me. I wouldn't have believed you either if you had have told me, but just don't avoid too much that conversation, or whatever it is for you. I don't know, place that you want to go, conversation with your friend. I don't know, taking, I don't know, smoking weed, drinking alcohol, whatever helps you, if like ethically, morally or not, it's gonna help you, and that's what is important. Okay, don't do drugs. I'm sorry.
What? No, do drugs. This is my podcast. Don't listen to her. If you want to do LSD, especially, do it. Go for it.
I mean, I don't recommend it, but if it helps you, of course.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Sure. You can say that. I can say smoke pot if you like it, if it's good for you, but listen to your body.
Hey, I'm smoking cigarettes, guys. Okay? They're cigarettes.
Don't smoke cigarettes. They're lame. They're for lame people.
Yeah, I want to quit actually,
but even though, I mean, it sounds a bit more interesting, the ones you smoke, because they're at least like with like, not color. I wanted to say color, but I mean with with like extra taste, right? I suppose.
Yeah, they're like they have mint.
Mm. Yeah, when I smoke weed, I also do with mint, so that's good. Like
Yeah,
that's a
they're
bit.
easier to smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's nicer for the throat as well. Okay. Anyway, that was a short
Just a
sideway.
short introduction, and then like, okay,
Yeah,
let's change the subject.
short intermission. Actually, I'd be really interested if you would be open to share the story, like your story of depression, trauma. Like, would you be open to share some of that at least, or yeah? Because I think
Uh,
that's really interesting, you know.
mhm. Um, uh, well, it's quite hard to
how
talk
did it
about, but
start?
I'm
Like was that something you dealt with? You said 15, right? So was there some specific moment that started that off, or um,
uh,
what do you think?
mm, so I was 15. I joined high school. I was in the ninth grade.
Oof.
Um, I remember that day clear as day. That I used to sing back then. Like,
Mm,
I mean, I'm also singing now, but just for fun. Back then, I was doing performances and stuff. And it was supposed to be a day in which I was having a performance.
mm,
I was rushing to go back home to take my dress and whatever. My parents were like, my dad, I think, was I don't remember, he was out of town. My mom was in France. So I was just rushing to get dressed and go and, have fun.
yeah.
At the prom, actually, it was the prom that I was supposed to sing. And there was this tiny little street, and I was rushing to take a taxi and go back home. And there was this little kiddo that was like 5, 6, 7-ish. That was in front of me.
Hmm.
Uh, there was the crosswalk, and there were somehow on the sides there were cars, so you weren't really able to look on the right and left to see if there's any car coming.
Yeah.
And there was this little kiddo that was, I don't know, I don't even know why was that kiddo alone at that age. I think he was coming back from school or something. He didn't look on the right and left,
Mm.
and my instinct was just, I heard a car, so I just jumped in front of him. I pushed him, and the car hit me. And there was this
Wow.
weird moment in which there was this little kiddo very scared. I hurt my foot. I was fine. It wasn't really bad, but the guy was either drunk or high, because you could see from like his, facial
Demeanor.
expression.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and the kid was obviously very scared. I was also a little bit in shock because everything happened like in 5 seconds. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah. I
I
think it
was
would
on
be
the
crazy if you weren't in shock. Like,
yeah, I was a little bit like I couldn't, stand up because my only my foot was, hurt. There was this kid really scared, and he was saying like, don't talk with mommy and daddy, don't talk with them, don't tell them. And there was this driver, because of course I was about to call the police for this, because it was a crosswalk, so he was supposed to
mm,
first stop, make sure that there's no one, crossing the street, and then that, I mean, that's how it works. I don't drive, but I believe so.
yeah.
And he was saying that if we are gonna say anything, he's gonna it was a threat, basically,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he's
yeah.
gonna do something about it.
Mm.
And I was 15. I was in shock. There was this
Oof.
kiddo that I had to take care of, because he was, there. I don't know. There
Mm.
was nobody. There was no one on that street, so it was just me, the kid, and the driver. I brought him back home. I didn't say anything. His name was Victor, I think. Victor.
The small
Uh,
guy, you mean?
yeah, the small
Yeah,
little
yeah.
kid uh, was Victor. I brought him back home. It was so hard because my foot was, I couldn't, really move, but I
Yeah.
managed it. Luckily, he stayed really close, to where we were.
Mm.
And then I was so scared that I went to my sister's place. We were supposed to watch a movie after my performance.
Mm.
I just went directly to her and told her that I hurt my foot. Like, I didn't say anything. I said this year. I managed finally, after 6 years, 5 years, 6 years. I finally managed to say the truth because they never knew.
Good.
I told her that I hurt my foot, but I was like, it's not something serious. And then I realized after 3 days that it's something serious and it hurts and I cannot walk. And they brought me, her husband brought me to the hospital.
Mm.
And yeah, I broke my foot. It wasn't a big deal. I just had to stay 3 weeks in bed.
Yeah.
And but there was something else that we found out, that I have a tumor. And
Mm.
my sister didn't tell me then because she wasn't really allowed to tell me, as I wasn't 18. So she waited. We waited until my mom came back. She was like, "What the heck? I'm going in France for 1 week. What's going on?" And she saw the papers and she started crying. And they didn't realize what's going on. And I just realized that there was a month full of tests and blood work and stuff
Mm.
like that. And there was this tumor that I had to get rid of. I had a surgery, which was successful. They managed to take out my tumor, but I entered in a coma because of the anesthesia.
Yeah.
So they didn't really know what was going on, because the surgery wasn't that difficult. It was just a tumor, so they just took it. But I still don't really know what actually happened.
Mm.
But probably they just gave me too much anesthesia and I entered in a coma.
Possible. Yeah.
The coma was approximately 12 hours.
Mm.
The doctors didn't know what was going on. I was in the news for this because there was a kid hospital, so it's not serious stuff happened there usually, like just a broken leg, something.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a situation. And since they didn't know what was going on, I was connected to these devices that check your heartbeat and all
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
the
That's,
cables and stuff.
yeah. Yeah.
So because they didn't really know if I'm like breathing by myself, and only the device is breathing, helping my lungs to breathe, they disconnected me from the device. And then I entered in a clinical death for 3 seconds and around 36 minutes. And they started doing PCR. And yeah, that was it, basically. um,
Crazy story.
yeah. And then there was some stuff going on with me after
Did
that.
something? Do you have
I do.
any? Okay.
Yes, I do. I do. There are these people that write or talk about what they see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I've looked into this kind of stuff a lot, so I'm kind of a nerd in these kind of spheres.
Should I finish the story and then
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it?
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Yeah. So there was this thing that happened to me. There were also these things that I've seen that I
Mm.
didn't understand. I used to be a Christian back
Mm.
then, Orthodox. And I used to believe in God. Believe in God. I was not going to church or something. My dad is an atheist. My mom she believes in many things. So I was kind of used to the traditions because of my grandparents
Mm-hmm.
and my grandmother. But otherwise, I was just like, yeah, God exists. Like, I was just fine with the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't understand after that what was going on. Like, the questions, why me? Why is it happening to me? Like, what did I do wrong? And so on. And all these things that I've seen. And I was so close to, not open my eyes anymore.
Yeah.
So I entered in a clinical depression. and it was hard. It was really hard. It was because of like the experience. There were so many things going on back then. The surgery, I was hit by a car, coma.
Yeah.
So it was probably inevitable that it happened somehow.
Also,
Um,
basically, that you forced yourself to lie and stuff like that, right? Like that.
yeah,
That
yeah,
must
yeah.
also put a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and I managed to lie 6 years, so
Yeah.
I'm not really proud of that. But I was so scared that, you know, I thought that if I'm gonna talk about it, my parents are going to find this guy and go to
Mm.
the police and punish, and I didn't want to, because then otherwise I wouldn't have been able to go out by myself, because there would have been this thought that, okay, this guy can be anywhere, so he can do anything, and if he was crazy enough to drive while being drunk or whatever,
Yeah.
he can be much more crazy.
Yeah.
So I entered in
Especially
this.
also not just that, also that he threatened you, right? Like that's icing on the cake, right? Like,
Yeah, that's
I
also,
mean,
yeah, that's also,
I
but
mean,
he was probably also scared. I mean, I don't
yeah,
want
of
to find
course.
him excuses. I don't want to find him excuses.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't hate him, but I believe that he was also scared. And
yeah,
probably
for sure, for sure.
if you ever were high, you guys and everyone, like, that if something like that happens, like you're getting into some paranoid situation, and you're like, you probably say and feel stuff that you don't really want to say.
Yes.
So I
So
don't want
so
to be
don't
like,
don't drink and drive, don't smoke and drive, guys and
do
girls.
that in your own house, in a peaceful environment, with your friends, with your own, but don't put anyone in danger. Anyway, um, I wasn't able to walk for a few months because of the surgery. It was a really painful,
Mm.
recovery. But eventually, I started going to school again, and of course, I wasn't able to go to school for months, and I received a lot of bullying because of that in school, because my colleagues never knew about this. I just had my parents just had discussions with my form teacher, with my teachers, that they were aware of the situation, that I'm sick, but my colleagues never knew, and they just thought that
Mm.
I'm, skipping school like that because it's fun, and
Yeah.
anyway.
I
um
was kind of bullied for doing that, so I guess we're kind of in parallel there.
yeah. So I started going to school. I was feeling really bad. There were these questions that back then I needed answers,
Mm.
and now I don't need anymore. I'm more like, as Socrates say, like, it's more important to ask
Know that
yourself
you.
questions.
Mm.
Yeah. There were these questions, I didn't understand anything. I was just so joyless. I was so young, and still I felt that I lost, everything somehow.
Mm.
And I was obviously, and that sad is not a good word. I was just, mm, I was nothing. I don't know.
Mhm.
It was
Like,
terrible.
is it something like you lost your identity or something, or
I was 15. I didn't even have an identity. I still don't think I have, but I was
sure,
just,
maybe you realize that you don't have an identity. I don't know. Like, how would you describe it? Maybe.
my identity, or
No. I mean,
the feeling.
yeah. Is it maybe something like, because okay, it sounds to me like something of a void, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure.
It's just like a black hole,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
never ending something. You never know anything. You're just, nothing about yourself. Nothing about yourself.
Mm.
Nothing that you do makes you happy. No conversation, no nothing. Like, not even music, not even a good book, not even a movie, not even spending time with your family. Everything that I used to enjoy back then.
Mm.
There was nothing that made me feel not happy, just fine, like waking up fine after
Mm.
one day. No energy. I was
Yeah.
really tired. I was also tired because of antidepressants,
Mm.
because they make you like a vegetable. I mean, it's like, I swear, I don't really understand the concept
Mm.
of them. It is good for short term, but after you quit, because it's addictive, obviously there's some drugs, so it's addictive. After
Yeah.
a while it gets just, it's much worse. So then I don't understand what's the purpose of them, because
I
they
th-
make you feel like a vegetable just so that you don't think. They make you
mm.
have some kind of euphoria, just like you would smoke maybe a joint or something, a bit less, like just really maybe tired. I don't know, tired that you don't even have energy to think and feel stuff. You're just tired. So I
They,
don't really understand.
I think what they do is often they take the, um, if I remember correctly, I looked into that at some point. They basically repress certain um, hormones that are, on the one hand, responsible for anxiety and like negative emotion, but at the same time for motivation. And so they repress motivation, but at the same time they also repress negative emotion. And so they make you less anxious, but they also often make you less motivated to do stuff. Is that maybe something what you felt, or
I
different?
just, I mean, maybe the simplest way I can explain, it just made me tired. And when you're really tired, you just feel like, laying in bed, doing nothing, just that's that was kind of it.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, I was fine, but I just took them like for weeks, just for weeks.
Did you
So
also feel a little bit better, or was there no big difference for you?
I mean, it made me feel tired. So then I didn't have energy to feel sad or happy or
Okay.
whatever.
I
It
see.
just,
Yeah.
it was just, I was just, let's say, exhausted, uh, like psychologically, mentally exhausted somehow.
Mm.
It just made me really exhausted. So that whenever I was thinking about something simple, like, I don't know, a homework, a sumeko, or I don't know, a conversation that I had with someone, I was stopping after. Like, I stopped. I just stopped after like 1 minute of thinking about it, because I was like just running in circles. So I was like, okay, whatever. I mean, that was for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my experience. I'm not sure like how it is for like how what it was and how it is for other people.
Yeah.
I'm because of my experience, I don't want to take them anymore again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even if I'm like in a depression again, I prefer to not take them, because it's just like you know
Mm.
it doesn't have a purpose for me.
Yeah.
um so I had this treatment. I was going to therapy. Therapy helped me back then, only during the session, like two
Mm.
hours it was fine. And then when I was leaving, it was just back. I was back in my life and my struggles and my stuff. It was always for short term. It was really good to talk with someone that is specialized in this kind of things and can ask the proper questions that you maybe don't really ask yourself and make you figure out some stuff. But it was just for 2 hours, and then whenever I was leaving you know the place, I was just the same. So
Yeah.
it was really bad. On the 13th of March 2016, it is a like significant day for me, because
Yeah.
I tried to commit suicide.
Mm.
I went on one of the highest buildings in Sibiu, and the like my my way was that I didn't think about doing it. I was just like, I'm going there, I'm doing it. Because if you start thinking about it, like how your parents will be affected by that, your friends, I used to have a boyfriend back then, so I was like,
Mm.
when if I was starting to think about this, I was like, okay, I'm not doing it for the people.
Yeah.
So the way was that I didn't think about it. I was just like, okay, I'm going.
Hmm.
And in that day, I remember that I went to school. I went to a tea house and drank my favorite tea. I ate some sushi. I
Hmm.
went and walked. Like, it was just like, the last things that, and I was happy. Happy. Like, I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
I
I'm enjoying
understand.
these things. And then I'm like
Hmm.
doing it. I went on that building. I was just about to jump. Um, it went perfectly in a way that usually the roof obviously is not open for anyone,
Hmm.
but somehow the receptionist thought that I am, staying in the hotel. He was like, just hi. And I took the elevator. I went to the rooftop and the door was opened. So I didn't even need to try. I was like, everything is working good. And then I was
Wow.
ready to jump. When I looked down there, I was a little bit, nauseous because I don't know. I was like, okay, it's quite high, so I'm sure dying if I'm doing this. There's no way I can survive.
Yeah.
And there was this guy that came, I don't know, a guy that was working in the hotel, and he asked me the best question that saved my life.
Hmm.
If he would have started to like run after me, it would have been too late because there was a big distance.
Yeah.
So he knew what to ask, and he asked me, "Are you sure?" And at that time, because I didn't think at all about it. When was this guy screaming, "Are you sure?" Uh, I started to think about, imagining my family, that I would ruin my parents' life, my sister, my boyfriend, my best friends, people from the Go world that knew me, my colleagues from high school, stuff like that. The things that I was about to miss, that I just lived 15 years, and I did nothing, let's say. My life didn't even started.
Hmm.
And after like 2 minutes of staying like that, the guy managed to came and take me. He hugged me, he kissed me on my forehead. And I
Oh.
just asked him to not call the police. And he just brought me back home, drove me back home, and he talked with my parents because he insisted, obviously. So yeah.
That's sweet.
Uh yeah. I wanted to meet that guy again and obviously say thank you and that I will be grateful forever for that. But I never did. And then obviously after this, it wasn't like it was my depression was done. But
Yeah.
I was conscious that I have a problem. That's the first step. When you conscious that okay, what is wrong with me? Why is it wrong? And then there was this, 1 week in which I was contemplating.
Hmm.
And then my parents forced me to go to a Go tournament, to the European Youth Go Championship in Serbia, I think in Subotica. I went there with Sensei Catalin Sarano and
Nice.
with the Romanian Youth Go team.
Hmm.
Of course, I did poorly, like at the tournament. And all the games that I played, I remember I lost 3 games by half a point, one by time,
Oof.
one I self-attacked. It was just like that. But I didn't expect myself to play good anyway, so
Hmm.
it was fine. Um, and that environment, the fact that I was, I wasn't in my hometown. I was doing something different. There was this routine that, we would wake up and go to eat breakfast and then have the first round and then the second round and then lunch and then whatever, you
Yeah.
know. And I think it was, the hotel was next to a river, I think the Danube, maybe the
Ah,
Danube River.
nice.
And I used to, before like breakfast, I used to go there, sit on a bench and look at the river and look at people, on bicycles, walking their dogs and stuff. And I started to realize that for me, this was the first step that I was in a different place. It wasn't the best place I've ever visited or something.
Hmm.
It was somehow nice. It was beautiful in its own way, but it was different. And I somehow managed to see life outside the picture, outside of my hometown, outside of my life, that how it was. And
Hmm.
it was just fine. And then I came back home, and of course it wasn't done like, okay, now I don't have depression, yay, party,
Woo! Party forever. Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. It wasn't like that. It was still hard work, still therapy, but it just started to get better. I started to play Go more and to realize that it helps me. It helps me, calm down and stuff.
Mm.
And yeah, that's kind of it. C'est fini.
Yeah. It's actually like the story you told from like being on the top of the building. It reminds me of a story that I experienced in my life, which was really sad. I'm still pretty angry at myself, honestly, how I dealt with it. So I was on the way to a Go tournament, and I was
How
standing at
old were
the hmm
How old were you?
uh this must be like 3 years ago or something, maybe four. I don't
Oh,
know,
pretty
something like that.
recent. Pretty
Yeah, yeah,
recent.
yeah, somewhat recent. Um, and I was standing on the what is it? Not the tracks. I was standing there waiting for the train, right, where everyone's waiting on the train. Um, and next to me, like 20 meters from me or something, I saw a girl with like a really big rucksack, like a really big one from high school kind of thing. And then there was a train like going through, like one of those that are not stopping, right? That are not taking people. One of those trains with stuff, like that they're sending from one place to another. It was really quickly going through. But once it started to go through, she jumped. And so she tried to kill herself. She actually jumped too far, luckily enough. Like she actually missed the train, and the train stopped at some point, and so I could see her laying there on the behind the tracks, essentially on the stones behind the train. And it's so interesting. Like I think the body is usually telling you what to do. Like mine was definitely telling me what to do. Like I was sure what I should do, which was like to jump on the train, to get on the other side, and to, I don't know, either hug her or just tell her, hey, there's people that care about you, like, are you fine? What's going on? Or I don't know, whatever. Just be there, right? In some sense. And because she was also probably like, I mean, she anyway like hit her head or something, like she was laying there. Um, but I don't know, I didn't do that. I did like call the people, the staff, and I don't know, some shitty stuff, but I don't know, it always, like, it just will forever haunt me in a way. Like, or just make me sad a little bit that I didn't do what was right? Like I could feel what I should do and I didn't do it, right? And it was something really important, right? Like something that could help someone who's in a very dire situation. Instead, she laid there. There were many people on the waiting for the train, so it wasn't like she was alone there and there's like one person who saw her. No, many people saw it. um and most people didn't care at all. Like most people didn't do anything. And so, like, this must be the type of situation that, like, yeah, nobody cares, like fuck them, like she was so much supported in whatever terrible place she was in mentally, right? Like there was nobody who came for her to help her, and she laid there for, I don't know, maybe half an hour and then ran away. And I mean, it's really sad, it's like the kind of thing where I feel like I don't deserve to live, like anymore. Like, what the fuck? Like, how can I not, like, like help someone who's in such a terrible shape, even when I know I should, right? So yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. So
I'm
yeah,
sorry that
it's
It
And I
reminds
and
you.
I guess and I guess both stories, like mine is the anti-hero story and yours is like the hero story, right? But I think both.
No, don't call me hero, please.
No, no,
That's
no.
the one
I
of
don't
the
mean you. I
reasons.
mean no, no. I don't mean you. I mean the guy. I mean the guy
Ah, the guy.
who
Okay.
asked you, "Are you sure?" Right? Like who was who was in his soul enough to understand what he should do, right? And that listened to that voice and did it, right? And me not doing that, right? So I think both stories are useful not only for these extreme situations, like these two are really extreme situations, but I think generally speaking, it's very often that we decline the recommendation of God, you could say. Um, that would be my religious inclination to call it God. People can call it whatever they like, but that there's something inside of you that is telling you what to do. And people usually don't follow that voice, which is interesting and unfortunate. But I think when
How
they do, it's really good. Hmm?
yeah, how did you feel, if you remember, like back then when you saw that, like what was the first impact when you saw the girl like jumping in front of the train?
I was really sad. I was really sad and I was upset because then I was actually super upset because at all the other people. So, like I didn't do what I should do. Um, but I did something, like that was my feeling back then. And there were so many people that I was like looking at that didn't do anything and that were immediately next to her, for example, like that stood there next to her, then she's suddenly jumping and they're like I don't know, they're like not interested at all in like asking themselves if maybe they should do something or help or anything. I was the only one there when the police finally like asked for witnesses and stuff like that. And like I said, there were like 50 people or something, so um yeah. So that was really sad to me. Like I mean, in the moment it was that was really angry at like everyone for not helping. And I was probably subconscious angry at myself already, but not like consciously telling me that too much. I was more like looking at the others who were even worse than me, but maybe they weren't. Like that's not even clear because I don't think everyone has the same role. So I think you have a role to play in your life. And there's a voice inside of your head that tells you what that role is. And so my voice was clearly telling me that my role in that situation was to jump on the train and to fucking get over there and get to her and try to be of help of some sort. Give her space, whatever that means, whatever feels right, but do something. That was my role. And I didn't go for my role, right? I don't even know what their role is. Maybe it really wasn't to do that. Maybe they're not the type of person who does that, right? Like I'm, for example, kind of like I don't know, like uh I'm not that afraid of social judgment. I've had my fair share of social judgment before. So for me, that kind of thing would be possible. Like for many people, they're so afraid of social judgment they couldn't even jump on the train. Even if that train is like standing and it's like just yeah, it's not a big deal. But so everyone has a different role, and so I think I was really subconsciously super annoyed at myself and angry at myself for not fulfilling that role, and at other people for being yeah people like yeah.
Yeah, actually, this reminds me of a quote. I don't know who said it, but it was like, I always wondered why somebody didn't do anything about it. But then I realized I am somebody,
Yeah.
you know? Uh, but I think that people, maybe they're either scared about this kind of things, they don't know what to do, they they get to an overthinking phase, whether they should interfere or not. Like, don't blame yourself too hard on it. Of course, it would have been really nice for you to go there, but at the same time, it happened to me also to see, for example, now I'm not doing that anymore because I did the first aid course, and whenever there's someone laying on the ground or something, I'm always there.
That's great.
But before, when I didn't know what to do, I was always like passing by, and I used to judge myself for that too, because you don't, like, you probably don't know what to do. You're also maybe in a shock. You don't see every day someone jumping in front of a train. You
Sure.
don't know how to react. You're probably like panicked, sad, frustrated, angry, and you're just focused on feeling things.
Sure.
Then and this instinct can be definitely uh developed. Like, you can improve it.
I would just say basically I knew what to do. And so that's the worst part about it. Like it wasn't that I didn't know what to do. There was this voice in my head that was clearly telling me exactly what to do. Like, I could kind of like see in my inner eye me jumping on that part. And so I was kind of like thinking, could I make that jump? And it was like, yeah, for sure, I could make that jump. And then, like, go over and then da da da. And there she lays, and look again. Yeah, there she lays. So it was like, that was basically the worst part about it, that there was this clear, that I knew what to do exactly. And I actually think, like, I mean, it's nice of you, you want to, give me a bit more space, be nice. But I do think that sometimes we should judge ourselves very harshly um when it's appropriate. Like, I think many times people do it when it's not appropriate. But that was maybe one of the most important moments of my life, of impact, of being able to maybe impact another person's life. And so I think I should judge that very harshly and be like, man, you really fucked up, and it's really not okay. And next time, like, there will probably not be next time, but you have to do that correctly. Like, now, next time you definitely have no excuse. And even this time, you shouldn't make too many excuses. Like, that doesn't mean I'm not accepting myself anymore, right? But that's definitely one of those mistakes in my life where I'm like, um, that's really not cool, and where I need to ask myself, um, did I learn from that what I should learn, which is that, um, I'm trying more to listen to that voice. I'm trying more to do what I should do with my life, right? Generally speaking. And I think these are the kind of lessons that, um, like, even when you do something wrong, it's kind of all right as long as you learned lessons. That's what I think. So I'm not like overly like, oh my god, I should now die or whatever. But what I definitely should be is, this is a really important moment of my life, and so I should definitely use that as motivation to do better in the future. So, and that you do by making it an important moment and not be like, yeah, most people would do that wrong or whatever, like that. Like, often you can find excuses, but you should really think, like, was that an important moment? um did I know what to do? And then if it's like, yes, yes, then okay, I should really look deeply into it and be like, okay, what should I learn? So that's kind of where I'm coming from with, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, it sounds reasonable. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, maybe going on, like, so what do you think helped the most in you making the proper steps, like, however, that made you feel better, or at least get on that path, I guess, right? Like, um yeah, what do you think was like the most important steps?
There are two perspectives in this. Now that I'm like happy, after such a long time. Because even after like I kind of like passed that phase, I was still diagnosed with like, clinical depression, like chronic depression. So I had to, and I probably will still have to struggle with some, ups and downs.
Sure.
Now there are two perspectives. I know how a depressed person feels. I know they're not going to accept any help. I know they're not going to talk about it. I know this. So even if I'm telling you now, you should ask for help. You should go there and talk with a therapist and go and talk with your friends about it. It's fine. They're going to try to understand. For a depressed person, this is bullshit. It's not going to accept this information. I mean, at least from what I read, like, and how I felt and how I know other depressed people, because I was also in like some group, carrying things, whatever. So there's some similarities in this.
Yes, for sure.
And there's also this perspective in which now I know that what I did eventually was accepting help. But I know that a person that feels like that will not, do it. I just
Difficult.
think, I just think that be patient with yourself. Like, take as much time as you need. Like, life is a blessing. Like, it is a blessing. This is a fact for me, at least. Mathematically, it's, I'm having, sometimes when I feel, down, I have a bad day and I'm like, what's this? I'm like thinking that biologically, medically, mathematically, scientifically, the percentage of you being you is almost impossible, like, as like, for example, it could have been only like one cell different in your ADN, or how is it called, and you would have been
DNA.
someone else.
Yeah.
You would have been someone else, so you are you now.
Or just
And
one
it's
bacteria differently interacting with
just
your
one tiny thing
membrane.
that we don't even see ourselves. We just see maybe under a microscope or something. I don't know. I have no
It's fine.
clue about the things, but just this thought, it's just so amazing that I'm looking at you, I'm looking at myself, I'm looking at people, and I'm thinking, whoa, like, this is, if you think about this, it's just almost impossible. Yeah, like, life is a blessing. It's just, I know that people that feel miserable don't like think about what they will be missing, or they don't care, they don't want that, they just see suicide as an option. And I did that, and I am really sad about it still, when I think about it, that I even tried to did it so many times, and you never know what's going to happen after that. We have no certain point that it's going to be, reincarnation, we're going to heaven, it's nothing, it's just we're going to be a star, or I don't know, whatever, all this, religious perspectives. We never know. We will never know. Like, you can do whatever you want now. Yeah, I think you can do whatever you want.
Maybe.
Why? There's some people that want to live and they cannot live. There's some fetuses that are aborted and they don't have a chance to live. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's like, so like, now it makes some sense. It makes so much sense.
Sure.
They're little kids. Believe me, I saw so many kids because I had a tumor. So I saw so many young kids that were so sick. They had like the last stage of cancer, and you see them and they're trying to play, they're trying to interact, and they're just so sick. They're just so sick, and it's like, oh Jesus, this is making me feel so sad right now. But
Sweet.
I would just suggest one thing, if it's possible, to go somewhere in an oncological hospital, for example. It is life-changing. It is life. I know you don't care about people that have cancer, but just look in one person's eye that is bold, and you can see them, they're sick, and you can see they want to live, and you do have a chance to live. You are healthy, you are here, and you miss that. You miss the good parts of it. My way was that I realized it at some point, that I have a problem. Like, I just realized, I started to be consciously aware of it, and that was helpful, because then I realized that I need to fix it.
Yeah.
Because back then, before that, I was like, I don't have any problem, it's just me, because I was also a teenager that was, rejecting everything, and I was like, yeah, this society and nobody understands me and stuff like that. And I was also in a depression, so the worst combination ever. Be a teenager, like going through puberty, all these changes, and also depression, it's the worst combo.
Yeah.
I thought that that's who I am. Like, I just thought that this is reality. I didn't understand that it's actually a problem. Even if there were like hundreds of people, doctors, that were telling me, you do have a problem. And the problem always has a solution. Like, at some point. That's why I'm saying you need a lot of patience.
Yes.
It's just as in Go. Stanislav Freirach told me one thing once, that he went to China. He went to China maybe 2 times or 3 times.
I went with him one time, which was beautiful.
Yeah, he is one of my best friends. And he told me one thing that I will never forget. Like, he's really into Tsumego, and he is really into reading. He's good at reading and stuff like that. And he told me that, I don't know if it was the first time when he went to Sigo or the second time, but he told me that he spent 6 months in solving a problem. 6 months. He never gave up. And he tried to give us solutions maybe once or twice, if I'm not wrong. 6 months? Are you kidding me? Like, what? And it's just Tsumego. Like,
Well, of course, it's life.
And try to put it in real life, and to realize that just,
if
never
this
give up.
Tsumego was like your dying mother, you couldn't ask for a solution. No, you have to come up with the solution, right? God will not come down and tell you, here's a solution. No, you have to come up with it yourself. So I think it's great training to do it that way. So yeah, I really love his attitude. Like, he's really he's pulling through.
He's mentally strong, like,
Yes.
I think, somehow. Of course, I know him very well because he's one of my best friends, but I think at these decisions, like specifically this decision that I'm not going to quit until I don't do this. Like, it takes 6 months, and of course you're going crazy. At some point he told me also that he was like, what the fuck is going on? Sure. Like, what the actually flinch? But
at some point you're like trying variations that don't make any sense. Like, every move is wrong, and
I don't even want to mention. I think he showed me that, and it wasn't like a corner, Tsumego. It was like a
very difficult Go problem.
Yeah, probably. I don't really remember what was the Go problem.
Maybe it was like an Igo Hatsuyuron, like the most difficult Go problem in the whole world, and he was like, no, I'm not gonna give up.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but it really inspired me that he was like 6 months. And even his teacher, I think, if I remember correctly, Stanislav, if you're watching me, tell me I'm wrong, like, if I'm wrong. After, like, even his sensei was like, like 6 months, like, really, like, you didn't give up, and he was surprised, And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm making so many comparisons with Go. I'm sorry. Maybe there are people that are going to watch this and they don't even have a clue what Go is.
No, it's okay.
Go is a mind sport that has a 4,000.
Yes.
Like chess. No, sorry.
It's fine.
People
I
are
think they
going to
will
kill me
understand
first.
the comparison. You know, when you have a
Yeah.
problem and you try to find a solution and you stick
Yeah.
to trying to solve it, not looking at the solution until you made it. Until you made it. You know, there's a math problem. 2 plus 2 equals what? Question mark. On the other side, there's the answer, but you're not turning the page around. No, you're trying to solve it first. You're trying to get to the bottom of it, and that requires a lot of patience and willpower. And so, yeah,
So I think if, well, I'm a Go player, so obviously I'm gonna say this. Maybe a depression is just like Stanislav Tsumego.
yeah,
Obviously, I mean, okay, it sounds stupid a bit, but to me it makes some sense that it was so difficult that it took 6 months, and he wasn't weak back then. So if
yes,
it took him 6 months, let's say, imagine for me that I'm 2, 3 Danish, like I'm gonna stay more, maybe 1, 2, 3, 10 years, who knows? Like,
yeah,
and yeah, it's hard to get that patience and give yourself time. It's really difficult to do that, but it's, I don't know, I think for me that was the way. Maybe I don't know
mm,
if it works for, I don't know if it will work for other people. It's so different.
yeah.
But I think, but that this advice, I don't like to give advice, but
It's fine.
this suggestion
Hmm.
is, I think mm, it's fine also for other situations, not only for, goal or for like a depression or in life. I think you can try to give yourself some, time and patience. There's one thing that you want to do, you set up a goal, and I don't know, you want to become a millionaire, and of course you want it to happen in one day if possible, or I don't know, or in one
Yesterday,
week.
yesterday,
yesterday
always
yesterday
yesterday.
yesterday, all my travels seemed so far away.
Oh yeah,
uh the Beatles. uh,
great.
um well, maybe with money, not really, because now there's this whole like, I just, sorry, can I do some off topic,
Yeah, sure, go, great.
it seems so funny to me that nowadays there's this thing with cryptocurrency and stocks, like investing in stocks
You're
on
talking with the right
eToro.
person, actually. Yeah, yeah.
What?
You're talking with the right person. I'm really interested in these
Yeah,
topics.
yeah. I'm not judging in any way. I think it's fine. But
You
there's
can. I don't care.
no, 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 no. Thank you.
I don't
No,
mind.
I'm just saying that it's really funny to me that like there are some people, like, at least on my Facebook. I want to delete my Facebook, by the way. Jesus, it's like, oh my god. But there are these people that
Yeah.
think that making money nowadays is so easy, and it's like you just put there like 100 euro on like Bitcoin, and it's like in 1 year you're gonna have
10 million.
10 million. This stocks, the investing in stocks, it wasn't from like yesterday. It was from like
Sure, always.
a century, always, whatever. So a long time. So it just exists. But it's just funny to me how like people think nowadays that it's so hard, so easy to make money. So maybe it wasn't the right example with becoming a millionaire, because now you can invest money on cryptocurrency and maybe you can become really fast. I don't know. You want to set up a goal, you want to become a doctor, right? And becoming doctor needs, I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Romania, for example, it's like 6 years of general medicine,
Yeah.
and then it's residency, which is, it depends on the specialization, like if you want to
Hmm.
be a dermatologist, whatever. So it's
Yeah.
like over 10 years of studying or more, and only then practice what you're doing, and that needs a lot of patience.
Yes.
So maybe one of the keys would be just time. And it's hard to give yourself time. Oh my God. I'm learning a new language, for example, right now.
Hmm.
I am in less than 2 months. I will be moving like from Romania. I will be establishing into Czech Republic.
Ah.
And I started learning Czech and ooh,
Ooh.
ooh,
Ooh.
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 It's, Romanian is one of the Neo-Latin languages. So we have a big part of like the Neo-Latin, like the Neo-Latin part, which is like
Mhm.
similar to Portuguese, Italian, French, Spanish, and so on.
Okay.
And then we have this little part that is Slavic, but only little, just
Yeah.
only little. And Czech is like a combination of a language that I always avoided to, learn, like
Mhm.
Slavic, like Slovak combined with Croatian, with Polish, with Ukrainian, maybe with a little bit of German. And oh my God,
Probably.
German,
The
German.
Germans are
No,
everywhere. Germans are everywhere.
no, not German. I mean, I'm just like, oh, I
Yeah,
don't,
I understand. I
I
understand.
German, like the German language is like the future. Besides English, obviously, it's the future. Even in
Hopefully
Sibiu,
not.
Sibiu was a Germanic. Oh, there's a cat.
Yeah, my cat just came in.
Yeah,
Hello, cat.
in
Say
Romania,
hello.
for example,
Meow. It's fine.
Sibiu was called Hermannstadt back like
Yes.
maybe 500 years ago,
Oh yeah, I
and
was
it
in
was
CBU at one point actually.
there was a congress in 2014, so maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. 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 There I was. My laptop got stolen there.
Okay. Well, there's not this stereotype that Romanians somehow steal stuff.
No.
Not at all.
No.
I'm sorry, by the way. Well,
It's
actually,
fine. It's not your fault. You didn't steal my laptop.
no, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for the. Okay, I'm not gonna say the jerk, but for the person that had that, instinct to do.
Hopefully, I always think about this in like terms of like, I hope that they got good use out of it, and then that's maybe fine. So.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Yeah. So Sibiu was a Germanic city, so you can hear many Germans here because it was part of like Transylvania and Hungary and blah blah, Hitler and so on. Blah blah blah. Second World War. Yeah. So I forgot what I wanted to say. That Germany is like the future, also in Romania. You can earn so much money like with knowing German, and usually in school you have to choose between French and German. And I chose French. Sorry.
That's fine.
because I like.
I also chose French, so we're even.
Yeah.
Because
if you want to talk in French, I don't know French that well.
No. I only remember Je suis une baguette. Français, je ne suis pas. Je ne sais pas. Something like
Je ne
that.
sais pas.
Yeah, je ne sais pas is basically the most important phrase. So, je ne sais pas.
Yeah. Comment ça va, Jonas?
Ça va bien.
Bien.
Mais.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Yeah, I can't speak that much. I barely got by in high school until 8th grade, and then I said, no more French for me.
Yeah, the problem for me is that I studied 8 years. And I am supposed to speak at least a little bit. I can survive, like I will survive, but I know ich liebe dich, and
that's good.
the I wanted to say something.
Go
I wanted
ahead.
to say something in Polish. No, no, no.
Ah,
Dobranoc. I wanted to say, Dankeschön, bitteschön, and Guten Morgen, Gute
yes.
Nacht, eine kleine Nachtmusik.
Wow. Actually, you're not bad. You're not bad. Like the pronunciation is quite good.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
du
No,
hast.
really.
Du hast, I know, from
Like actually,
Rammstein.
because with German, it's quite easy to make the pronunciation bad, and then Germans can't understand you. But everyone will understand you. Like there's no
Really?
problem.
But do
Yeah.
I sound as a foreigner? Like you can
Yeah, yeah,
figure
yeah.
out
No,
that
no. You can tell that you're a foreigner. Like, yeah, but you
it's a,
can, but you will never not understand what you're saying. Like it's very precise enough for sure.
all right, sounds good.
That's good.
Well, I started learning Czech, and
Mm,
it's, as I said, the combination of the languages that I avoided my whole life, and
yeah.
and it's really, really rough. And
Okay.
in the beginning, that is the thing. In the beginning, I was doing really good because I'm kind of like, my mom is really talented with languages. She stayed in Germany for a long time. She can speak fluently German. Now she's in the Netherlands. She can speak Dutch. Like, she is just really talented. Where is your cat, by the way?
My cat just lays on my bed now.
That's good. She's
She doesn't give a fuck that I have a cat allergy. So fair
really.
enough.
What's her name?
Mimi.
Mimi.
She doesn't listen to her name though, but yeah, her name is Mimi. We
Mimi.
also
Oh,
sometimes call her Nietzsche or
Nietzsche.
yeah, or
Because he
the
was
big
a.
motherfucker gangster. There are a few. There are a few names. She's really, yeah, she's a diva, you know. She's really tough,
She
but
should
also
be. She
sweet.
should be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she should be. I used to have, like, when I was living at my parents' place, I used to have 6 cats.
Mm,
So yeah,
nice. That's sweet.
yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
really a
love
cat.
her. She's amazing. So
Yeah,
do
so
you manage Czech slowly or
comme si comme ça.
come see, come
like like in the beginning, as I said, my mom is really talented with languages. Like, as I said, she moved to Germany, she can speak German. She is now in the Netherlands, she can speak Dutch. So it's, for her, it's like not nothing.
yeah.
And somehow probably I got that from her, that like I can learn fast. No, I can have this, in like this jump.
Motivation. Ah.
No, jump that I am good from for a beginner, and then I'm
Mm.
just, I just stuck. And
You're
in the
like
beginning, yeah, like at a heartbeat. Teet,
yeah,
teet, teet, and
exactly,
then,
exactly.
yeah. And in the beginning, I was like improving so fast. I was also studying a lot, like 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and
Mm.
then this guy from the Czech Republic, that will remain anonymous,
Yeah.
because he's a Go player. Um, was listening to me, and he was like, whoa, really? Wow, my friends will be so impressed when they will hear you. And they're just like, really? And I was getting this, motivation. And he's always saying that, like, whenever I'm like reading a text or something, oh, you're doing
Yeah.
so good. But I'm so bad. Like, oh, Jesus, it's terrible. Because I started, like, in the beginning, I enjoyed it
Mm.
because it was something new. And then it just became a habit. And it's not always fun to have a routine, like studying every day the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you're not improving, and as I said, I have high expectations on myself, and that's what I'm saying when it comes about setting up a goal. I don't have enough patience, because if I would have patience and I would be able to enjoy, then I would learn faster. Because when you're doing something that you enjoy and you combine work with passion, then the perfect combination.
Yes.
But I'm like, oh, why cannot I speak already and stuff like that, even if it's like one of the hardest languages ever. So I should really really
Yes.
have some patience when it comes about
Accept
that. But
yourself, Gabriela. Come on,
yes, I
Gabi.
should.
It's fine.
Gabi, yes, you can
Gabi,
call
I
me Gabi.
believe in you.
Yes, I believe in you too.
Oh, That's sweet.
Yeah. So let me also ask you, like, well, I still didn't finish my answer, but I guess like people already, I already realized I'm like starting on an idea, and it's the
Yeah,
same as
I do
in
that
my
all the time. They if they're watching this stuff more regularly, they will get used to it. So that's
yeah.
fine.
So yeah. So I wanted just to ask you, what are your good and bad traits?
So I think my good and bad traits are usually similar traits, like for most people. So I'm very skeptical, and so as you could maybe already tell from some of my responses to what you're saying,
I
um,
like that.
so um, that is very useful because I will not kill Jews if somebody tells me to. That's good, but it can be really annoying because I'm also not taking useful uh well guidelines seriously, or conventions or stuff like that. Like I'm just always questioning and rebelling against the order, right, of things. And so I'm just doing my thing, and that's sometimes a good thing, but sometimes it can be really annoying for people, or it can be just stupid, or like. So, and what else? I mean, I've done also some bullshit in the past. Like I've been a big liar. So now I think I'm too honest almost, but like there's been a long period in my life where I basically lied about almost everything I'm saying. And so that was maybe not the nicest thing to do for my fellow humans. Um yeah, I don't know. A lot of stuff, I guess. I'm trying to make the world a better place, so I could say I'm kind. I'm a nice person.
I didn't say that. Come on, I just said I'm trying to be
Oh yeah,
kind.
oh yeah, yeah. No, but I could say I am. I would say that. I would say that. I would go that far. Yeah. So yeah, I think skeptical, so very I'm often very intellectual in the way that I make everything I make many things a debate that shouldn't be. Like that can be very annoying for myself even. Like like there's a guy and he's like saying, oh yeah, and we went on that boat and it was so fun and it went 3 times faster than the bike, or the train, la la la. And I'm like, is it really 3 times faster than the train? And he's like, I'm not sure, is it really 3 times faster than the train? And he's like, I was just telling a story. What the fuck, mate? Like, what is your problem? And I'm like, yeah, I'm I'm a bitch, man. So yeah, in these kind of ways, I can be a bit annoying for people for sure. Yeah, but it can be
I
helpful
can be
sometimes.
also very annoying. So
Yeah, and I'm also the things that you said, most of them apply to me, so especially being kind, of course.
I said that I'm trying. Anyway.
No, I know,
Yeah.
I know. I'm just making fun of you. I'm also clumsy, I'm also clumsy, and I'm like very bad at organize. Or I was very bad at organizing myself. I think I learned a lot these past couple of years, so now maybe that's not accurate anymore. So that might be good.
How old are you, by the way?
25.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm also young, but also old. I'm a quarter century.
Well, it depends. Like, oh, and I'm making it a debate. Sorry. I'm like, it depends on like. So, what's the average of a life?
No, century. Like a
Oh, the
century
same.
is
I
100
heard like.
years. Yeah,
Uh,
sorry.
sorry, I thought a life. So,
It depends.
no,
That's
I
true.
cannot argue with that. Yeah,
It
a
can still
century is fine.
depend. Like time is relative. Are you living on a mountain? If you're not living on a mountain, then time goes 10% slower.
But what
So
did
actually,
Stephen Hawking say when it comes about? Okay, no.
exactly.
Okay.
But if you are in a train and somebody is passing you by in a jet, then the jet is 10 times faster than the train. Thereby, the time equivalent is a third of the overall natural dependency of the hands flowing movement sideways to the brain. And so, thereby, you're actually 10 years old. Ha! I got you.
No, you lost me.
Yeah. I lost myself there for a second in that train. So I think I want to go back to something very, very fascinating to me as a subject, if you don't mind. What did you see?
Mm.
If there's any way you can explain it, like yeah.
I didn't say this story too many times. I tried to say I tried to say it like when I knew it is meaningful. Like I'm not, meeting a person and I'm saying,
Yeah.
because it's a really intimate like experience. So I
Yeah, I
really want
understand that.
I want to talk about it as long as I have a feeling that it's gonna be in any way, it's gonna make some sense, or not some sense, some
Mm,
a new idea or something.
yeah.
So when you are in a coma, or let's say under anesthesia, there's no time, there's no space.
Mm,
You just see black. I mean, okay, I'm talking generally, but don't take it generally. Like
sure, it's fine.
it's just like you close your eyes, it's just darkness in a room. There's no light, it's just darkness.
Mm,
And then you in that area of darkness, at some point you see a dot
mm,
that is like the color is like the color of the sun.
mm,
It's really bright. Let's say it's not white, it's not yellow, it's just
mm,
bright. And it's just a little dot that you barely see.
mhm,
And it's peaceful and there's nothing going on. It's just you, a black hole, and the dot. As I said, there's no time and space. But that dot becomes somehow bigger and bigger. You either get closer to it or the dot gets closer to you. I'm not really sure. Until it becomes like a ball of light, of brightness, let's say.
mhm,
And it becomes bigger and bigger
mm,
and bigger and bigger. And it's closer and closer. And I remember clearly, just as it was yesterday, that at some point it was so close to me that I could just barely like see black. I could see some black in the background, but it
mm,
was more of this, bulb. I don't know, this really huge circle.
mhm,
And then I remember that on the sides of my silhouette, I don't know what was that of me. I just started like really fast to see some stuff, like that, but really, really fast.
mm,
I saw my mother. Uh, I saw my mother that when she gave birth to me and my sister. I
oh,
saw my grandparents when they got married. Well, it was not only my,
mm,
from when I was born till
yeah.
then. My first Christmas, my I don't know things that I Jesus forgot, and now I remember them.
Mm. So it was like
This,
incredibly vivid.
yeah, it was like there were some flashes, like some
Mm,
flash memories, really
yeah.
fast. I didn't really have time to stay and pick one and think about it. It was just like some stuff that I just remember a few of them, because it was like there were so many things that I started to get a little bit panicked at some point. I just remember that it was a little bit overwhelming, and I remember that I started to struggle at some point. This whole thing has finished.
Mm.
I started to struggle. I started to move somehow. And I believe that that was the moment when, I'm making like an association with like the moment when they disconnected me from the, you know, because maybe the pressure that they were giving me when they were doing PCR, and of course there was a lot of pressure on my body. I started to move and somehow, I don't know, escape, because I was already in that circle. I didn't see black. It was just this, it's just like you're trying to look at the sun and you cannot do it because it's too powerful, And I just remember that I started screaming, I started screaming, I started moving, I started doing something. I was like, and I remember that I screamed really loud, and then I just opened my eyes and there were like 15 doctors around me and nurses. And there was a doctor that, I was naked and with all these things. And I was just remember that the first impact was those two things that they're putting on you to give you like, I don't know, electricity, or I don't know what is it.
Something.
And it was this, like, and then I remember the doctors were like, phew, like, I don't know, doing something. They were like sweating or something. And one doctor just told me that, you're a fighter, and he kissed me on my forehead. And then I closed my eyes again. Probably they were giving me some, how is it called? Some, not painkiller, but some specific, wait, let me remember. How is that called? Not a sleeping pill, but morphine.
I'm not good with this.
Morphine. They were giving me morphine.
Yeah, okay.
And probably I just automatically closed my eyes and I fell asleep. And I remember that when I woke up, like the second time, I didn't have voice. I told you that I was screaming in my dream, loud.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I was like, I couldn't even, it's not like when you have a sore throat and you cannot, I genuinely couldn't speak. Medically, there's an explanation for this because of the oxygen tube that was inside my throat that can be also, but there was this thing that happened. And of course, at first, I couldn't remember all of these things right away. I had to, it was just like a puzzle that I, like I built.
It was also too much, basically, right? Like it was so much at the same time, like you can't.
Too much, yeah, too much. And I remember that the first things then when I finally did this whole puzzle, I remember that I was writing a lot back then in that week, just things that I was remembering, because I was also in a coma and stuff. So until I was able to speak and again, and my mind, until it functioned properly, it took some time. And whenever I was remembering something, I was writing in my notebook. And when I finally made the puzzle, I was like, come on. I was reading stuff on the internet, and they were like these, skeptical people that don't believe in like something, I don't know, in anything. They're just probably atheists that were, just saying that it's anesthesia and you're just delusional, it has anesthesia has some effects. And they was like, oh, of course it's like that. But then the thoughts, and I remember that I just became automatically an atheist. I started to be a hater, and I was having conversations with my dad, because when I was never able to talk with my dad about spirituality and religion, because he's an atheist and he doesn't want to be convinced, and I didn't want to get convinced either, so we were just like, okay, we're not going to talk about it. And I remember back then we were talking so much about like how God doesn't exist and nothing, and blah blah. Uh, but then I was like, this thought was like, but what if it's real? Like, okay, I decided somehow myself that it's not real, and it's just, it was just in my head and stuff. But what if it's not? Asking yourself questions. And I went to my surgeon that's like originally did the surgery to me, because eventually there were 15, but like the guy who did
Yeah.
the surgery. And I was like, okay, let's sit down and let me tell you this. And I just basically said what I told you right now, but with more details that I used to remember back then. And I remember that he just listened to me carefully, and he was smiling a lot. And I was like, I just wanted him to confirm, yeah, it was just an illusion. It's, anesthesia and stuff, because he is a scientist somehow. So I expected this. And it was not like that. He listened to me, he asked me a couple of questions, and whenever he was almost like he was almost doing assumptions, like, oh, and did you see this, and did you feel that when, and I was like, yeah, how do you know? And he was doing what he said like that and smiling, and I was like, then of course it's not true, and just tell me it's not true, just tell me it's in my head, and then I'm fine. And he was like, it is true. I was like, okay, come on, like, you're a doctor, how can you tell me this? Like, I just started to hate, to do some, to be a hater. I was like, come on, like, you did like 15 years of medicine, like of med school, just like that, what the heck, like, it's impossible. And he was just so kind to me, and he was just telling me, no, but it's true. And I was like, what is true? Tell me, what part of it is true? That I'm delusional, I'm crazy, I got crazy? No, what you saw, it's true. And I was like, huh? And then he just told me, sorry, I have another appointment. And I was like, okay, that's not what I expected. And I remember that the first reaction, my mom was waiting me in the waiting room, and I was just like in my mom was like, oh, what's wrong? So what did he say? And he was like, and then I stopped talking with anyone, and I was like, okay. And I had to figure out myself somehow.
Yeah.
If you ask me whether it's true or not, or true, like, I don't
What
know.
does true mean? I don't
Yeah,
understand.
exactly. That's what I wanted to say. What does true mean? But what the fuck? Sometimes I'm like, I didn't talk about this in a long time. So even now when I'm talking about it, I'm like, come on, like, what the fuck? Sorry.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. That's all right. That's human.
Yeah, I prefer to not give any I don't have any, like, I honestly, I just got used to the fact that it happened to me, and it just didn't, like,
Yeah, I think these things are complicated, right? Like,
yeah, I don't think I care that much anymore whether it was real or it was just delusional, or I don't, it just happened. And I can just say that I accept any kind of ideology now. That's, I think that also what Buddhism say is, to me it makes sense, and what uh, Muslims say is somehow, it makes sense, and whatever, all this new, even like, there's this religion, there's a guy that invented this religion, their god is a pineapple or something.
no, I don't know about
Or
that.
something, like they believe in pineapples or something like that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I like
I'll
pineapples.
join. I'll join.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, if I mean, if it's true or not,
I
God
believe in
knows.
pineapples. I mean, I can join. I believe there are pineapples.
Well, yeah, I like to eat them. I don't know
Yeah.
if I truly believe.
Oh yeah, maybe you're not allowed to eat them, right? If it's like the god. Ah shit. Okay, I will think about it.
Yeah, so that's what happened actually. I'm really actually blessed that I had this experience. I used to hate it and
Mm.
to ask myself why it happened, and I could have remained, that innocent child that was, living in a like in a pink life, that everything is, I'm still actually like that. But um that was a life-changing traumatic experience. Even though it's really nice that I'm talking about it, and I
Yeah,
managed to
I'm
control my
really thankful.
emotions somehow. That because usually, of course, I'm crying when I talk about it, but I guess I just got so used to the fact that it happened to me, and I accepted it. It just happened, and I'm blessed. It was an experience. We talked
Mm.
about it already. At first I wasn't, blessed that it happened, but I wasn't
Yeah.
feeling, but I, somehow I like the fact that it can be, maybe there's a possibility, like maybe maybe that's how it is when you're dying. Who knows? Or maybe not. But at least if I'm thinking about death, I have this, experience that was so close to it, and I can, because I think that, as philosophers say, like, we mention this word nothing so many times in our lives, but we are not capable to imagine nothing, because whenever we imagine nothing, we associate it with something, whether it's a black hole or it's, I don't know, so
Yeah.
atheists say that.
I spent like 3 years when I was a kid trying to imagine nothing, and it drove me crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think that atheists say that death is like nothing. Like after death is it's nothing. And um I really respect atheists. My dad is also an atheist, and I know friends that are, and it's just perfectly fine. But I want some good arguments.
Sure.
I want to you know okay, actually I'm wrong, because also if I ask a Christian why do they believe in God, they're just gonna say that they, have the feeling, or they just feel it, or which is not really an argument. It's not really a proper thing.
It's maybe better
It's
than an argument.
maybe better, yeah. But it's just like in Go, when you know sometimes when you're trying to explain, especially, I'm also teaching Go, and I have this little cute girl that is improving so fast, and I'm really happy that I'm her teacher. And at first, I was asking her, of course, why, did she play those moves? And she was saying, well, I've it felt right, or my instinct was, or this. And I tried to guide her in a way that she could give me like an explanation besides it felt right. Like, okay, I read this variation, or there was this possibility, or something. So yeah, maybe I don't need, good, like, arguments when it comes about religions, or perspectives like that, ideologies, because it's just probably just about feelings. But they probably imagine nothing as after death. I cannot imagine nothing. I am not capable to do that personally.
Mm.
So now at least I am have this comfortable zone. Whenever I think about, what's going to
Yeah.
happen after today, I can have this experience that it's like, okay, I'm not sure if it's going to happen like that, but at least there was this experience that, and I read so many, scenarios in which they see stairs, or they
Yeah.
see, I don't know, a path or something. They see some different things, but
Yes.
somehow I
Though
saw
I
that.
think what you describe is also often the case. Like
Really?
I've seen many reports of near death experience. Many people say life flashing before their eyes, memories passing them by. Some are describing it very similar to you, like flashes, like boom, 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 this kind of thing. Some describe it
Mhm.
more as a tunnel, and they're very fast moving through the tunnel.
Yes.
But also, it's very often that it's like here are the memories, or sometimes also there are memories that they didn't even know, and like sometimes even memories from their parents or random other people that they don't even know, like, but sometimes even people that they didn't even know, but once they saw the memory, it immediately like illuminated a different life that they have lived, like that seemed
Mm.
like they have lived, like they suddenly see all that life in front, like, yeah, I'm really intrigued by these stories, as you can tell, but that does happen, like these kind of so, and it's interesting that there are these similar,
Similarities.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't really I read much about it
Mm.
because my like all of my therapists told me not to for some reason. They didn't tell me why, but I guess they know what they're saying. Maybe I don't
They
know.
said what? They said not
They said that
true.
they said to not read
Not
about
read.
like other this kind like like specifically this
Hmm.
experience, to not read about uh what
Okay.
others, so because that is a
I think I
trigger
would
to me.
recommend for any other one who's had these experiences, I would recommend the opposite. I would recommend to read, because
Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't think it's harmful, like
I think it can be good, because like many people experience, I think, something that you talked about, which is like, am I weird? Am I off? Like, what the fuck, is something wrong with me that this happened to me, right? Like there's this kind of thing, right? And I think many
yeah.
people experience that, and when they then see like, okay, my experience was in some way special, but there's also something about it that other people experience, like that can be like, whew, like, okay,
It
I'm
happened to
normal
others,
enough.
so yeah, yeah. Well, for me it's like I didn't read much about it, but
Mm,
somehow accidentally I saw, like, in movies or in documentaries or
yeah,
in
yeah.
it's somehow like this thing. It's often, mm, let's say, it is a topic that sometimes can be
Yes.
around you. So yeah, probably they recommended that because obviously that was a trigger to me. That's how my depression started, and it was a clinical depression.
Mm,
So so maybe they are afraid that if I read about it more and more and more, and I start rethinking about it too much, because I already think that I already solved those things, like, and
mm,
I sometimes have this stupiosity, let's let's call it like that, that I solve this, not to say, there's a topic in my head that is already consumed, like
mm,
something that happened, I don't know, when I was 3 years old, and I thought already for 10 years about it, and you know and then you know I reach it again, and it's like sometimes I'm trying to be more practical. I like thinking a lot.
mm,
I am a thinker, and I like that about myself. But at the same time, being like that makes you not leave the moment,
mm,
and leave. And I want to be more practical. I don't
mm,
want to stop thinking, but I want to think a little bit less, because I'm thinking too much. I think I'm thinking
mm.
too much, and I tend to miss moments in my life because of that. Like, not go to parties with my friends or something, because I just want to. After 1 week of work, for example, 9 to 5, I prefer to stay in myself and think on the couch. So I should, you know, I want to be more practical. So yeah.
Fair, fair, but
Anyway.
I think it's nice. Like, Like I actually, when I talk to someone like having you on, I basically described you as a philosopher. So, I I kind of feel
That's too much.
that's too much. Okay, sorry.
No,
Sorry.
it's too much that
Take that
it's,
back.
philosophers, Platon, Socrates,
Sure.
Aristophanes, Aristotle, Nietzsche. Me, I'm just a random girl from Romania that is thinking.
Sure. Sure, fair enough. But the you still have a long way to go, right? Like there's still long life, but you're definitely by nature a philosopher in the sense that the way you deal with the world, like as you said in the beginning, basically you never close the door, right? So the door is always open, and I think that's a hallmark of a good philosopher, which is like not to close the door. And that at least is very important to me as well, like to be open to be wrong, and to always search further for a further explanation of something, or yeah, this kind of stuff. I think that's beautiful.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
So to take a lighter turn, I suppose, what do you
Yeah,
wish?
really.
That might be good now, huh?
Yeah, maybe.
Sorry.
No,
uh,
that's
s-
okay. I accepted it, so I told you I'm open.
yes,
That's
yes. Yeah, and I'm really grateful for that. Like I think it's very good to have these type of topics out in the open. There's so much taboo about so sort of topics, and so people never hear someone who went through these experiences talk about it. And so I'm very grateful that you're doing that. What do you
namaste.
Namaste. What do you believe in? Like I guess that kind of came up now again and again. Are you an atheist now, or like is kindness, being selfishly kind, the most important ideology you follow, or like
Come on, you make me sound so like. No,
no, I
I
think I think everyone knows that you're in the right and I'm in the wrong, so it's fine.
no, come on, no. I know you're messing up with me.
Yeah, exactly.
I am really, really, how to say, like, people mess up with me so often, but I'm just like, it's funny, so why not? What do I believe in? Oh my God, like,
SpongeBob. Do you believe in
mm,
SpongeBob?
in what?
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob
Ah,
SquarePants.
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob
Uh,
SquarePants.
mm, yeah, I used to watch that when I was a kid. It's a cartoon, right? The SpongeBob. Yeah. I used to believe in it when I was a kid.
Okay.
Believe in what he was saying and repeat
Yes,
all the time.
exactly. Like what you
Now I
do in
think,
church, right? You
yeah.
listen and
Ah,
then
by the
repeat.
way, oh my God, oh my God, I have such an interesting experience. So
Hmm.
there's this, I had some stuff going on, and like lately with my family, and I was trying to ask uh for an advice or just a different perspective outside the box from a from a wise person.
Yes.
And I was talking with one of my friends about this struggles, and then there was his mom that was like, she's really religious, but she's really fun, like she doesn't exclude other ideas. And she was like, oh, I went to a priest that is has some like therapist skills, and you don't need to go there as a religious person, and you can just go there to talk about it and blah blah blah. And there's this thing that I don't know how is it called in English, but it's in Romanian it's called spovedanie.
Hmm.
You basically go to church and you say your sins and blah
Yeah, yeah.
blah, just like you would go to therapy, but more like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah, exactly,
you
exactly.
kiss with a did you kiss with a boy before getting married? Ah, it's a sin. It's like something like that.
Yeah.
And I think I was there once when I was 12 or something.
Mhm.
And there's this book for like the Orthodox Christians that is called Îndreptar. So in the Îndreptar book, it's a list of all of the sins, that you should mention if you did them. And there were these things. Did you ever, pickle your eyebrows, or I don't know, shave, dye your hair, listen to music that is not the church music? And
So
I
it's
was like,
probably
what
the
the
type of list where if I would read it, I would read every single thing. Like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that. Oh,
Yeah,
this. Oh,
exactly.
yeah, I did
It
that.
was almost everything. And I was like 13, and I remember that I had no, I was 14 when I went, actually 14. And I remember that when I was 14, I had my first kiss, or something like that, with
Hmm.
a boy that was like from my class or something, the basic thing.
Sure.
Which it wasn't even a French kiss or whatever, but anyway.
Very important. We want the details.
It was just like, a kiss,
Yeah, I'm good.
or something like that. And I remember I went to the priest and I told him that, and he was like, "Are you married?" And he was like, "I am 14." Like, he's like, "Did you kiss?" And then when I told him that I, waxed my body and stuff, he was like, "Did you wax? So you mean that, we are like in the Bible, it says that the God made us from his as he is,
Yeah,
his
from his
face
image.
and that." Mhm.
We are made in the
From,
image of God.
and he was like, "So you mean that God didn't make you beautiful enough? That's why you wax?" And they was like, "Dude, we are
You
in
could
the
have
20."
asked him, why do you put clothes on your body? Are you ashamed? You ashamed?
Yeah, I was
Priest?
like,
You're ashamed?
"Dude, we are in the 21st century. Like, I'm not sure if it's somehow relevant, like the century that we are in, but I don't know.
Sure.
For example, waxing, it's like, for me, it just seems natural. There's some women that prefer to not do it, and it's perfectly fine. But for me, it's like, that's a sign that I take care of myself. So why is it a sin? But anyway, I went to that, and then I was like, okay, never doing it again. And
Yeah.
then I went to this priest that wasn't supposed to be a spovedanie. It was supposed to just be a talk in which, yeah. And we went to this little room, and there was this court, or I don't know. He just did this, and he was like, okay, when did you lose your virginity? And he was like, this happened a few weeks ago. And he was like, no, he asked me, did you lose your virginity? Like the first question. It's like, we were supposed to talk about my, struggle. But I was like, I don't know. When I was like 18, 17, 18, and he was like, are you married? Like the same thing. I was like, Jesus Christ, I am 21. Like, I don't know. And for sure, there are not so many youngsters that go to spovedanie, because otherwise it wouldn't be that weird that, you're having sex if you're 21 years old, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, he just started to ask me, like, and he told me that he cannot give me, bread and wine, the body and the blood of Jesus,
Yeah, because
which is
you're a
called the
sinner.
because I lost my virginity. And I was like, and that's
Wow.
he asked me, are you in a long-term relationship? That's why you had sex? And I was like, not really. I mean, no. And he was like, no. Wow. Like, she was like, singer. And then we discussed about, finally about what I went for. And he asked me, when did this spovedanie last time? And I was like, I lied. I got a little bit panicked. They was like, well, it was like 2 years ago or something, but it was like 10 years ago. So,
Yeah.
because otherwise he would have killed me. I don't know. He would have done something. So I was like, okay, it was 2
It's
years
like when
ago.
you tell your dentist, like, no, it was like a year ago, not 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was
I'm doing what I
just so
should do.
Yeah, I was just so scared, and that was like 2 years ago. And even I said
Sure.
2 years ago, and I thought it's fine that it's 2 years ago. And he was
Yeah.
even like, 2 years ago. So imagine if I would have said 10 years ago, he
Yeah.
would have. Oh my god, if he
Maybe he
reacted
would
like
have
that.
taken out like the shotgun, like da da da. I was ready.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Anyway, and I told him my problem
Yeah.
like the thing that I need some advice from a wise person apparently. And he just told me the most simple thing ever. You can just forgive and get over it.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is what I waited for, because I would have, I mean, it's such a simple conclusion that I would have gotten to,
Can help
I was,
some people, like I
it
don't
can
know.
help some people. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but for me, it was like the
I think at
complete
least
no.
that's not the worst thing that happened there.
Yeah, yeah, it's not the worst thing. Yeah, yeah. But I was like,
Yeah, I
I was
understand.
feeling that, come on, I wasted my time. Like I anyway
Hmm.
had to wait like 1 hour and a half in the church, and there was this liturgia going on, and
Yeah.
it was interesting. I like going to the church, but usually to Catholic churches because they're more beautiful, and I like to go there not to pray and stuff. Just there's some specific silence there that I like. And first of all, the architecture of like churches is so beautiful. Like there's some really nice churches. So I see them as pieces of art somehow, and that's why I like to visit them. And that's why I usually go there from time to time to get that silence and that peacefulness.
Yes.
But otherwise, yeah, that was my experience. Yeah, long story short. And um I don't know what I believe in. I don't exclude anything. I don't reject anything. I I call that, you know, that divinity, I call it God too. I don't know what it means. I am
Sure.
fine. I am fine with I for sure believe in something. I don't believe in nothing. Like I don't think that we're just gonna, you know, be buried and in a grave and that's all. Or if it's gonna be like this, I'm gonna be very sad if I will be able to be sad. But I am sad if it happens.
Yeah.
Um,
While it's happening, you're sad, and it's like
oh Jesus, yeah, but
maybe
I don't know.
maybe you would be more sad if you end up in hell and you have to burn forever.
Yeah,
So
maybe.
maybe it's at least a relief from that.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. But I watched something kind of that changed my life, of my view a bit a
Mm.
few years ago. It's a video on YouTube from like some German Kyrgyzstan, maybe Kyrgyzstan.
Kierkegaard.
Oh, okay.
Kierkegaard.
Kierkegaard,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
which
don't
is
know if
called
he's German, but yeah, he
the
might
egg,
be Dutch as well.
maybe Dutch. Okay, which is
From the
called the
name,
egg.
like maybe he's German. I have no idea. Sorry.
Okay, it's called the egg, and there's this like perspective of like a human that died, and in a car accident, and then he was in this transition between, like in this transition,
Hmm.
and he was talking to God or something, and he was just saying they were just saying they were just developing the idea of reincarnation and stuff, and it made sense. Like it was a really nice story,
Mm.
but maybe it was just a story and an animated story because it was an animated story. So I
Ah,
don't know.
sweet.
I don't know. I don't care, honestly. Um,
Fair.
I have a feeling that
Oh,
when
it's
I will,
called The Egg. Like the animated story is like The Egg.
yeah,
Oh yeah, maybe I've seen it, but it's a long time ago. Yeah, yeah. It was a good
yeah,
story.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
It was really fascinating to me when I watched it. It was really
Mm.
powerful. But then I realized it can be just a story, because sometimes I cry also at like commercials or something. So
Sure.
that's, you know,
Yeah, me too. Me too. I
so
cry so much.
crying is not always crying should be anyway normal, but
Yeah.
Sometimes if I'm crying, I'm thinking that, oh, maybe this is like really powerful or emotional or something, but maybe I just had a bad day and I wanted to cry, and there was this, video that triggered this. So I don't know. I prefer to believe in everything than to believe
That's good.
in nothing. I don't have a specific thing.
That's actually a good title for the podcast. Believe in everything, not nothing. I
Oh,
like that.
really? Oh.
I like that.
And what do you believe in?
Oh yeah, same. Sure. I could live with that. Like I mean, depending on who I speak with, I sometimes declare myself an atheist, a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Taoist, a whatever, like I make it dependent on circumstance. I presume, like, if somebody is like attacking the Quran or something, then I'm like, I'm a Muslim. Hey here. And like, and then I'm saying like, hey, don't you think it's like a great quote that it's like, if you kill one person, it's like killing the whole world. If you help one person, it's like saving the whole world. Like, isn't that something to live by, huh? And that's in the Quran. And so I think that's a great saying. And there's many others, of course, from the Quran. Then I don't know, if somebody is really atheistic, then usually in a Western context, I'm like the defender of the Bible, and I'm like, hey, did you know that it's like the Genesis story is like a very good description actually of evolutionary history of humans, because in the Genesis story, we basically gain the sight of vision through a tree, apples, and a snake. And that's basically exactly what happened in evolutionary biology, because we evolve to see ripe fruit and to evade predators. And our main predator back in the day, when we were still living in trees, which is also useful, um, was a snake. So there's that. So it actually makes perfect sense that we accrued vision through a snake in the garden and the apple. So yeah, it basically depends on context. And I think there's a lot of value in all of these texts. I think myself most deeply, the text that I like the most is the Tao Te Ching. It's like a very short book, actually. It's really nice. It's a ancient Chinese text from Lao Tzu, or however he should be pronounced, which is definitely not how I pronounce him. And it's great. Like I think it's very beautiful. Funnily enough, it's actually very similar. Like, there's one quote in it that's very similar to the quote I read from you earlier. Like, you basically said, right, the strongest opponents which we can conquer are us, right? And there's a notion in the Tao Te Ching, which is knowing others is intelligence. Knowing self is truly enlightened. Conquering others is force. Conquering self is truly powerful. And so that's very, like, that's very similar to, I think, what you're describing there, and something very deeply true, I think. So I guess usually I think of these things as symbolism that talks about very deep understandings that is difficult to grasp with the scientific method. And so I do think it's necessary, and I think we go away from it too much nowadays. But I guess I don't necessarily prescribe to any specific text, like, wholeheartedly. I take from all the text what I can, Yeah. So I guess I'm a Buddhist. I'm an Italian Buddhist, Chinese Christian, Protestant, atheist.
So you basically believe in everything.
In some sense, no. I think all these texts, they describe something similar, and so I do believe in something actually quite concrete. That is a synthesis of all these texts, more or less. But I do think there are certain things. I do have a way of interpretation that is very specific. So my way of interpreting these texts makes it so that in the end, all these texts are basically saying the same thing, and it's something that I believe in. But people would really criticize me for interpreting these texts in this way, because especially the people who really believe in one thing and they say this is much better than all the other things, they would probably be pretty upset how I interpret it and then say, oh, it's the same thing as this. So so I do have something specific I believe in, I would say. Like for example, if I read the Bible, I read it in the way that I think many of the things that God is doing that are bad or something like that, they are descriptions of life. They're descriptions of reality. They're not descriptions of honorable, what is it? Of virtue. They're not descriptions of virtue, but they're descriptions of what happens. So, for example, when there's this story with the the guy in the family doing something wrong, and then there's plagues on end for his whole family. His brother dies, his daughter dies, and like everyone dies. All these innocent people die, right? So if you read it from the point of view that what God is doing is virtuous, then you could take away, if somebody's doing something wrong, you're allowed to kill their daughter and sister and everything. And I think that's a wrong takeaway. So I have a specific interpretation, which is that I think this is the description of, hey, if you do something wrong, reality will kick back at you in all manners of ways. And it will not only kick back at you, it will even kick back at your family and friends and everyone around you. And I think that's correct. I think that's what happens. Like if you don't act crucially correctly, then that will influence everyone around you in a negative way. And so that's the way. And then if God is doing something, like he's with the Cain and Abel story, for example, or also others, he's like the people who are giving the proper sacrifices to God and they walk with God, um, they are benefited, they are getting something out of it. I think that's also correct. Like that's also, I think, what happens. Of course, not always, which is why I think the Bible is a good story. Like for example, Job. I don't know if you know the story, but he's like a really, really big believer. And anyway, shit happens. And actually, the like it's a funny story. God makes a pact with the devil. He makes like a bet, and is like, I like the devil is basically saying, I bet Job, if you really fuck him up and you really fuck him over, then he's not gonna believe in you anymore, right? And God is like, nah, do with him whatever you please, and he will stay faithful to me. Come on, like I believe in him. And it's a funny story. Like it's not like God is like this really, like God is a person in the Bible, which I think is a good thing. And what happens is basically Job is really close to like losing everything, even though he's a good person, right? And I think that's really correct. Like there is arbitrariness in life. Like even if you do everything correctly, sometimes you get cancer and die, right? At 5 years old. Like you haven't done any mistakes yet. There's nothing wrong with you, but there's bad luck. There's arbitrariness in life. And so yeah, this is a type of way where I would have a very specific interpretation, I suppose, and it lends me to a very specific belief structure about God, Tao, love, truth. Like all these things to me are the same word in a sense. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah.
Well, it sounds really pretty interesting. I can't wait to listen to the podcast again and contemplate once again on what you said.
Sure. I think it's an interesting topic. I love thinking about it, and yeah.
All right.
Okay, maybe a last question, and then I will set you free, right? As they say. What are you looking forward in the future? Well, what do you think? What does life has to offer to you? Um, that will make you, I don't know if happy is the right word, fulfilled. Like what would make your life worthwhile in your estimation? And um, yeah, how does that future look like? And it doesn't need to be 5 years from now.
Mm, well, it's definitely not gonna be. I don't like to make such long-term plans, but I think the biggest challenge now is to maintain my this happiness that I talked about. Like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for like this. It was worth it. These years were worth it for this. Like, it's really, it's a relief that I finally can walk on life and enjoy it.
Hmm.
As Dire Straits, say it, walk on life.
Yes.
Um, I make many references on music. Sorry.
No, that's great. I like that. I like that.
um, well, the biggest plan now is that I'm gonna be moving to the Czech Republic for a while, maybe for good. I don't know. I have these two personalities in me that I want to seem like an organized person and the person that is settled down and that's it. And because for example, my biggest goal in this life is to become a mom, and I'm really looking forward to that moment. I don't think that saying that I'm not ready is the right thing to say, because you're never ready for it.
Mm.
You can read 1,000 books and still be not ready, feel not ready. And I feel somehow that, okay, maybe it sounds a little bit off, but I feel that the child will come when they will feel to come somehow. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't use protection. Use protection because of the sexual diseases and HPV and SIDA and all that.
Maybe.
But I'm just saying that if you're in a long-term relationship and you already like realize that that person is the one and blah blah blah,
Yeah.
then yeah, if you both are fine with the idea, why not? I'm not into that. I'm still young, let's say. I
Mm.
want to be a young mom because I think that it's going to be really nice. It's going to be really tough, and it's like the huge responsibility. Can you imagine to like it's
But it
inside my
also, to
like
put a different point on there, I think it can also lift some responsibility off your shoulders, because the nice thing about it is that you're no longer the most important person in your life.
yeah, it's a huge
So
responsibility. As I said, it's huge.
yes.
Like, oh
but
my
but in the
god.
same
Oh,
way, it can be freeing, like it can be like, oh, like there's not anymore as much judgment on me, like there's, oh, I'm,
and the typical questions, when are you going to get married, and
yeah,
what
when are
about
you,
kids? Yeah, I already started to receive these questions, and I'm like, I am 21, like there's still plenty of time. And
yeah,
I read some statistics that 20 years ago, women were getting married and having their first child between 23 and 27.
yeah,
And throughout the years, the women postponed the that event for much like longer period of time,
yeah.
and it started to be like between 29 and 35, because they want to focus some more on their careers and so on. And it's not so as much social like judgment from the world, the pressure that is put on the women that you should do this, it's your
Duty.
yeah, it's your duty, exactly. So I don't know. I still want to be a young mom because I still, with a kid, like you need to have a lot of patience. I have a niece now. My sister has a little girl that is like the sweetest girl ever.
Mm.
And I realized that like I'm spending a lot of time with her, playing with her, teaching her things and stuff. And I realized that it is really nice to, see her every day, or not maybe every day, but see her and play with her, and see how
Yeah.
she's improving day by day. She's just like the sponge. She's gaining so much information. Like you're saying something, and I just today, for example, we went on a trip, um and she was saying she walked many stairs because we went on a fortress and there were like 100 stairs, and she walked them by herself. And she was like saying, like after she did it, like good job, Eva, like she was saying to herself, good job. And I was like looking
Oh,
at her like, what?
oh, that's
She's
sweet.
saying,
That's good.
yeah, she's saying a lot of new stuff, and every day it's like what is she gonna say
That's
today,
actually very wise.
yeah, it is like, well,
Yeah.
like kids are so like pure. I don't know, they're
Mm.
so, they don't have this thing that, oh, if I'm saying this to myself, I'm arrogant, or I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
too self-indulgent or something. They of course don't have this in their minds, and it's just so simple for them to say everything. It pops in their head anyway. But it's really nice. It's really also hard. It's really not time consuming, but it's just exhausting too, and it's just my knees. I
Yeah.
don't want to imagine how my sister is, dealing with it. But my biggest plan is that I'm gonna be moving again to a new country. So the last article, the way I ended, my last article, because my blog was about Korea and my path to Korea, and my path to Korea finished.
Yes.
And I think I ended the last article somehow like, and now it's time to spread my wings and fly
Hmm.
again to my next, adventure
Yes.
or destination or something. And
Yes.
it's
Yes.
true, now it's my path to Czech Republic. It's gonna be really, really nice. I just
So when's that blog gonna be revealed?
that blog. Oh, blog. I don't know. Oh my god, this blog was such a ride. Like
Mm.
I started it because I was somehow asked to do it. I
Mm.
used to like write some articles for school and blah blah. I am like interested in journalism and stuff, but I prefer to like, when I write, I prefer to write, okay, not philosophical things, but just thoughts, just,
Like I said, I would describe it as philosophical
no,
things.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay, just, my struggles,
Yeah.
my stuff, my, ideas about the world and stuff.
I guess
Uh,
one could also say you're more sincere and vulnerable than most people would. So you're like not just, you're not just spouting facts of like, today we did 5 tsumegos, then we went eat, then we did, right? Like you're also like really talking about your struggle, or like that was difficult, that was nice, that was beautiful. And
it
then
would
you
have been
relay
boring.
that to another experience, and compare, or you have a sudden idea that you just follow along, like this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. It was like my plan was that, it's gonna be so interesting, like my routine, that I'm gonna be writing every day and stuff. And then I was like, I was, it was a struggle to post like one article a week, because my routine was exactly the same. Like I was
Yeah.
in school studying 12 hours. Like, okay, I can show you my Tsumego maybe once or twice, but you can find them on the internet. So yeah. And then I started to check my statistics. And then I was like, oh, because for a while I didn't check. Especially, I started the blog in March and I went to Korea in June.
Yes.
Yeah, in June. So I started to talk about the story, how I, met Antonio's class, and then so on, and how was this, and how was the preparation for it, visa and all my adventures, because it was this whole thing. Okay, can I tell you something? Sorry, you said
Sure.
that we are about to. Yeah, but it's
All
really
good.
like, oh my god, it's really interesting. So in June, before, like, I'm also really passionate about theater, and I did acting for like 10 years. and I was like the one of like the biggest theater festival in Europe. It's held in Sibiu every year,
Oh,
and it's the third in the world, if I'm not wrong. So really a huge one.
nice.
And I started to be an organizer because my whole family is interested into theater, and my brother-in-law is an organizer, and my sister is an organizer. So they just, suggested that I'm
An
good, and
organizer.
I started to be an organizer there. And yeah, before Korea, I just went to Bucharest to do my visa, and it was a whole challenge because they were asking me like, "Are you going there to play backgammon or something? What are you doing? Like, you cannot stay in Romania. You cannot, They were really harsh on me. It felt like I don't know. I'm going to, because I knew that somehow the visa process is really hard for America in Romania. That they're asking you a bunch of like weird questions just to see how you react and stuff, but Korea, like, first of all, you can stay in Korea 3 months without a visa. So
Yes.
I was like, anyway, I passed that. I left my passport there. I had to run because the festival was, running in Sibiu, and I was an organizer. And it was the worst decision ever because, I was supposed to prepare for Korea, and I did my luggage in like 20 minutes in the last day before the flight, and like, everything. And yeah, anyway, the festival ended, the whatever. And then I had the flight from Cluj. There's a city in Romania called Cluj, and it was such a weird flight, like Cluj, Frankfurt, Paris, changing the airports, then Moscow, then China, then Korea, like 72 hours flight or something, like really weird. My dad bought it, so it's not my fault. But I was like preparing myself mentally for, staying 3 days in airports and stuff. And we started the trip from Sibiu to Cluj, um, with the brother-in-law and my sister. And we were listening to music, trying to say goodbye, like in the car and stuff. And then we stopped at the gas station to smoke a cigarette too, blah, blah, blah. And I went in the gas station to buy, I don't know, something. We smoked a cigarette. I left my wallet on the top of the car, and I smoked a cigarette, and we ate a sandwich, and then we go. And they were singing in the car, having fun. I fell asleep a little bit because I was, tired, and I had a nightmare about losing my wallet. And then I
Ah.
opened my eyes and I was like, okay, where is my wallet? Stop the car. You were like 5 kilometers away from the airport. And I'm starting to, search my wallet. And then my brother-in-law is like making a face. He's like, you left it in the gas station. Cards, identity card, like 500 euro in the wallet, everything. And luckily there wasn't my passport in my wallet, because otherwise it would have been, done,
Yeah.
like no visa, no nothing. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? How can I be so stupid? Just to explain you how clumsy I am, just living
Yeah.
Jesus. And
Honestly,
Yulia,
honestly, this is a type of story that I tell people all the time. So yeah, I know that feeling. I know that feeling.
Jesus, like I was like, what the actually fuck? And it was super like it was super important for me to arrive in time in Korea, because I was supposed to play in the Samsung Cup qualification or something
Yes.
for VIPA. And I was like, in all of my documents, in visa and in the visas and stuff, I was saying that I have to participate in the Samsung Cup. And I was like, oh my God. And then I'm, calling the gas station. I forgot even what gas station it was, because I didn't pay attention to what gas station. I forgot the
Yeah.
city. And I'm calling all the gas stations I know from like that area. And then we finally found the gas station. I had some friends there that lived in that city, so they went to the gas station and started
Wow.
to search for the wallet. It started raining. It was a huge storm. That wallet could have been like everywhere, like genuinely. They looked at the webcams and stuff, nothing. And we stayed 3 hours in the parking lot at the airport, figuring out whether I should go or not. Like, I called my bank to block all of my cards, obviously, to do this. It was like 3 a.m. still wondering. We were trying to make plans for me to go. My brother-in-law and sister had like 50 euro left or something, and I was supposed to survive with those money or some, like in 72 hours. And they was like, oh my God, fuck, what am I doing? Then I'm going to the airport. In the airport, I was like, okay, maybe I'm going. And I'm going to to the Wizz Air, like, because the first flight was with Wizz Air, and I'm going to that place, and the floor was somehow slippery, and I'm falling and I'm twisting my ankle.
Yeah.
I'm just, I sprained my ankle. So it was the best day ever of my life. Like, first, like, losing my wallet and then spraining my ankle. I was like, okay, if God exists, then for sure he doesn't want me to go, like, obviously. And then the way back, it was the most difficult. I was like, oh, I missed it, my dream, like, I worked so hard on this. I talked to Blackie and D, and they were like, what the fuck, why didn't you go? Like, come on, no, because we could have figured, but I sprained my ankle. Yes, but you could have talked with the airport to give you a wheelchair. And I was like, I need to change the airport. No, but we would have managed. And they got so upset at me, because of that. And I came back home. It was like 7 a.m. I was so tired, obviously. And I was like, okay, my sister was like, let's go to sleep and then we figure it out after we wake up. My dad called me at 12, thinking that I'm in France already. And he called me, oh, so how is in Paris? Did you, because I sprained my ankle. And it's like, Jesus, I didn't mention about I think he's going to first hear, like, if I'm going to send him this, he's going to first hear this. Because if I would have told him that I lost my wallet, he would have said, you're not going anywhere. Like, you're not going anywhere because you cannot be responsible. Like, it's a wallet. How can you lose it on the top of a car? Anyway. And then I'm calling Iskai how I bought the ticket, and I'm like trying to reschedule the flight. And he was like, yes, we can reschedule the flight in 2 days. There's like, oh, perfect. I can even go to Samsung Cup if you pay 900 euro. And I was like, 900. It was 3 times more than my flight ticket. How on earth? Why would I, pay 900 euro if the ticket was 300? Like, and just to reschedule it. It was a huge story. And then when I called my dad and I said I sprained my ankle, he was like, oh, good that you didn't go, but we're not going to give you more money to buy. Like, even if they afford, like, they could have afforded it. But he was like, no, you should be more responsible. So you will need to work your whole summer to get the flight ticket. I was like, oh, fuck, what am I doing? I called Antonius. And I was explaining him this situation. I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I upset everyone. And he just sent me 1,000 euro like the next day. And I was like, oh, okay, good. Like, fine, okay. And I managed to buy another flight ticket, and it was fine. But and on the way back, because there's another story on the way back. On the way back, like my dad booked the same flight as the one that I missed, Frankfurt, Paris, Moscow, China. Okay. I go to the airport and I'm giving them my visa, my passport, whatever. They're like, can you please go to the police station in the airport? And I was like, okay, that's weird. And I'm going, and that Korean guy is, searching stuff. And then he's giving me a paper in front of me, and he's saying, you're illegally staying in Korea and you are not allowed to leave this country. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? I genuinely fell on the floor. I was like, what is wrong? And then they wanted to take me in a room and do cavity search on me. You know what is a cavity search?
I guess like naked,
and they're searching on your butthole for
yeah.
drugs or something, and I'm saying that I'm innocent, but I don't know, like, because if they, there was this miscommunication that I went to the immigration office to tell them that I'm leaving and stuff, and I had to fill in a paper, and those guys didn't announce further or something. It was the whole thing. Then I came back, and it was a full week of, fighting with the Korean immigration office, with the Romanian embassy in Seoul. Blackie, which is the calmest person I know ever. He was just going there and like screaming at them, like, what the fuck, you're not letting this girl go, whatever. We were making this story that all these things, and they eventually let me go. They were like, okay, you
like,
can
I
go.
don't even understand how could that happen. Like, I thought you had a visa, and then
Yeah, there was a thing that I was supposed to do. Like I think it's like a similar story as Cheyenne had, because he was also maybe in Korea.
Mhm.
That after 3 months, even though you have a visa, you should do a Korean ID card. And I didn't
Mhm.
know. I mean, I kind of knew somehow, but I didn't know that you should do it within 3 months, and I didn't do it, and blah blah. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And but I don't understand why they don't let you go. Like if you have problems with your documents, isn't it like logic that they would want you to leave? Like why do,
Maybe. Yeah.
like I was like, what the fuck? And anyway, eventually they said they are wrong and they're really sorry for it. And I was like, okay, are you going to pay for my flight? Because I missed my flight. They were like, no. I was like, but it wasn't my fault. You said that, well, it's not your fault, but you can just sue us. Like, if you know, Koreans have this thing. I don't know if Asians in general, but I don't think Japanese people have it. But Koreans have it, like whatever happens, they're like, oh, sue us. They're like, just sue us. And they knew that I'm not going to, because it's so expensive to get a lawyer and stay there and blah blah, and it takes like forever. And obviously, I wouldn't have done that. But Blackie got so upset that he was, saying that, oh, she's gonna post on her blog that is really famous, that Korea is a poor country and really bad advertisement. And they gave me like 200 euro or 100, I don't remember. And when I told and they told me also, okay, we let you go, we gave you 100 euro, but you have to leave tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. If you don't leave then, you cannot leave. And it's like, am I in North Korea right now? Like, what's going on? Yeah. And I
Oof.
had to explain to my dad well, first there was this first experience when I was going, that I couldn't take my flight. Now I have to explain to him that I'm on the other side of the world, and I was almost doing like a cavity search, and they don't want to let me go back home. And my dad was in Romania, and he was like almost ready to get in a flight and go to Seoul and beat those guys, because exactly. And
Maybe they
then
deserve it. I don't know.
there were this, of course, since it was like I had to buy it for the day after tomorrow. Basically, it was so expensive, and there were only two options. One, it was with a stop in Uzbekistan, like something like that, and one was in Moscow, like 23 years, 23 hours. Sorry,
23 years. Yeah. Like 23 years stop in Moscow.
just a stop of 23 years in a jail. No, 23
Maybe,
hours.
but it's a cheap flight. It's a cheap flight. Just
No, it was like 800 euro or something. But
mm,
the thing was that it was 23 hour stop, and if you stay
yeah.
more than 24 hours, you need a visa in Russia. And if the flight would have been delayed, I was thinking whether I should do a visa, but I had only 2 days, and I was like, okay, I'm just going. The last thing that could have happened to just be in a jail in Russia. It's all you can wish for this. And it was like it was
That would have been a
excruciating.
cool story.
No, too many stories. But
Yeah.
anyway, that was my stories, my adventures about it. So when it comes about my blog, I really tried. I saw that it became famous, like, and I saw that not so. I mean, there were like mostly Go players that were reading the blog, but not only. And then I was like, okay, then if there's so many readers that they're not Go players, then I'm gonna try to make it. I mean, it's obviously like a Go
Yeah.
blog, but I can also talk about food and people and traveling and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and struggles in a foreign country, in a different continent.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really a successful blog. I don't know why, because I didn't do my best. It was just my home so far, somehow, like,
Yeah.
it was never this pressure that I need to post or something. Even though I invested money in it, eventually I paid for stuff like a hosting and domain and so on. But it was like a gift for my viewers, because we raised like 30,000 30,000 viewers, and I don't know how many views in general, but for
Mm.
1 year and a half, I was like, for a Go blog, I was really, really grateful that it happened. And it happened so many times that I went to tournaments in Korea, and they were like, "Oh, you're Gabi from my path to Korea," and I was like, "Oh, really?" Because nowadays,
Oh, that's sweet.
that not so many people read blogs, like, and I understand why, because it's much easier to maybe listen to an audiobook, or I don't know, watch
Podcast.
podcast, or or watch videos on YouTube, or whatever people consume nowadays. So I didn't have expectations about the blog, and it was really an interesting experience, and I gained a lot of, like, I talked with so many people, and I shared so many ideas, and it was really, really nice. And for my plans, just to conclude, I'm moving to Czechia. I don't know if I'm gonna start another blog about it, because Czechia is not so exotic as Korea. Like, everybody knows Czechia is known for good beer and stuff. I don't like beer, but I will need to get used to it. So I'm really looking forward, because I will be moving to Brno, which is also very, very close to Austria, so I can visit my friends there, like Victor, Lynn, and so on.
Cool.
And there's also a big, like, club in Brno, and it's something new for me, because the club in Sibiu is really, really small, and there are, like, a lot of tournaments in Czechia going on every month, and probably not as many as in Germany, but still, for such a small country, they really have many tournaments, and hopefully be happy. I don't know. I have a lot of projects going on, obviously, that I'm not going to talk about it until I make them, because I don't want to.
Next time.
I don't want them to get
Next time
stolen.
when you open up about them, then
Yeah. But just be happy and drink water. Like, now I drank a Coke, but 0 calories. That's all.
that's all. Okay,
Yeah.
Gabi, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Especially
you.
also for being so honest and vulnerable, and yeah, I really like that. And I also thank you very much for your blog. I really enjoyed it. My path to Korea, for everyone wondering, I will put it in the description below or something. In 10 months when I publish this video. Because I'm very lazy and I need a lot of time before I manage. But then,
Hey, but at least send me the recording.
yeah,
before.
I will do that. I will do that.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for the nice ideas and the nice conversation that we had. And I will be thinking about this whole conversation.
Yeah, me too. Oh, thanks. How did you like it?
Wait, is it still?
No,
going?
now it's gone. Now it's done. Now
It's gone. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Now it's like I can even push the button. Oh, okay. 3, 2, 1. Push the button.